Gabby Hanna got married. This is a video says, I still cannot believe this girl is married now.
Songs on the radio, okay. But my taste in music is your face. Songs on the radio.
Okay, so Gabby Hanna, YouTuber, singer, Jesus Christ follower. She's been, on the internet for a long time, had her ups and downs, been in drama battle after drama battle with YouTuber after YouTuber. Started on Vine with white girl in the hood jokes, and then started with story times, and then moved on to what she's doing now, which is like Jesus Christ story times. And she put out a podcast with her husband, which we're going to watch today. It's just an hour long, and it's called From Angel Numbers to Jesus, My Testimony. And here's the thing. I grew up Catholic. She said she grew up Catholic, but she is like giving Christian evangelical, right? And it's very interesting to me as a former Catholic who left the church at 19. It is nothing like how I was raised with Jesus, but I also would say that like Catholics don't have testimony. We don't use that word testimony. When I hear testimony, I think evangelical. Catholics do not. I've never in my life heard a Catholic say, here's my testimony. What testimony? You mean your story? They might say, oh, here's my story of how I found Christ, but they wouldn't say, here's my testimony. So the fact that she's saying testimony tells me she's a Christian. And then on top of that, the fact that she even talked about angel numbers, it's like, okay, what's that? Like, okay, so I have a friend who went down a rabbit hole on TikTok of angel numbers and, spiritual psychosis, but not spiritual psychosis. They didn't quite go fully into it because I was like, hey, I love you. You need to get off this TikTok space. I really believe people are uneducated. And when you're uneducated, you will fill answers to questions with the most outrageous shit. I'm begging you to read a book. I am begging you to watch a documentary. I am begging you to educate yourself because I promise you, once you do, all of these things you see will have an explanation and none of it is God and demons. I promise you with so much love that this is not the answer. Okay? So then she put out this tweet just to give you a preview. Let's watch this. Okay. It says, my pastor, who admittedly does not himself hear from God, somehow being the leader of the church is why people leave the church. Godless teaching, pride, hateful behavior is why people leave the church. So see, she's judging. She's saying, oh, he says he doesn't hear from God. Girl, none of you are hearing from God. That's the problem. No one is hearing from God. So the fact that Gabby Hanna thinks she's hearing from God, that's why people think she's in psychosis. Because the religious people I know would be very cautious in saying they hear from God. They would say, oh, I feel inspired by the word of God. I feel like he's speaking through me. But no, I don't have a direct relationship with God. It's my faith in him that makes me believe in him. That's what the people in my life would say about religion. Okay? Gabby is saying she is being visited. She hears the voice of God. So for her to judge her pastor for not, quote, hearing the voice of God. And that's why, okay, so let's watch this in full. Let's see.
This pastor called me crazy to my face because I told him that I had a dream from God where he told me that Jesus is the truth and I needed to repent. I am definitely going to be telling this story in full with my husband because he was there. We have the emails, we have the conversation in person recorded, and it's really important because church hurt is real. And a pastor who does not believe in the Holy Spirit and is not willing to hear your testimony is why people leave the church. Before I even get started on this story, let's just imagine this, right? If I was actually crazy, let's say this pastor actually believes that I'm having psychosis because God told me in a dream to repent and follow Jesus. If this pastor actually believes I'm crazy, why would he make us leave the church? Just jumping in to say that Jesus left the 99 to go after the one.
Okay, for the record, he would have you leave the church because it was no longer serving you or a safe space for you. He would have you go to a therapist, I assume. So you became a danger to the congregation, is what you're telling me.
Hardcore cult vibes. Literally said you can't tell anybody inside or outside the church what I told you, or else you guys are going to be on disciplinary action. Or
okay, maybe that is true, and that's why I'd like to hear the recording. If it is true that he threatened you, or if he said not to tell anybody, that super cult vibes, let's talk about it.
Or excommunicated from the church. Actually, that's not what he said. What he said was, you can't tell anyone inside or outside the church what I told him. Meaning you can't tell anybody in your life ever again that you had a spiritual encounter or a spiritual dream.
Oh, so he was reminding you and trying to keep you safe by giving you a chance to work on it privately so people don't think you're crazy? Oh.
or else you will get kicked out of this church or you'll be put on disciplinary action. That was the level of control that he was trying to enforce over my testimony.
Because it was unhinged and ungrounded and dangerous and that it could lead people astray?
He doesn't believe in the spiritual gifts at all. So basically, they'll say that they believe that the Holy Spirit is an active and present part of our life, but it's very limited. The Holy Spirit, in their view, is only allowed to communicate to you through the Bible or through another believer who's giving you a Bible verse. But any other spiritual communication, if you have a dream, if you have a vision, which by the way are well documented in the Bible, we are told in the New Testament to pray for these gifts.
Hold on, which ones did she use? Follow the way, the love, eagerly desire the gifts of the Spirit, especially prophecy. We are different gifts according to the grace given to each of us. If your gift is prophesizing, then prophecy is in accordance to your faith. Now eagerly desire the greater gifts. This girl wants to speak in tongues. This girl wants to speak in tongues, roll around the floor. You know what I mean? That's what Gabby wants, right?
Specifically. So as a spiritual person who's never been afraid to share their spiritual experience, the last thing I would have expected from a pastor who preaches the power of the working Holy Spirit in our lives to not believe in divine communication. Because at the end of the day, and this is what my current pastor says, check the fruits. The fruits are good. You sold your house in LA because it was a ridiculously wasteful lifestyle. You moved to Pennsylvania. You're here doing your best to get involved and serve in churches. It led you to repentance and to a life of following Jesus. I can't see any reason to tell you that you're crazy.
I agree with this, that you should look at the fruits of your labor and see if it's good for you. I do not think Gabby's in a good place. I think given the fact that she's still picking fights with people, going after Gabby Hanna and Jesse Smile, Gabby Hanna, the fact that she's going after Trisha Paytas and Jesse Smiles, the fact that she's still posting and then deleting things and being like, I was going through it. Like, the fruits of your labor aren't proof. Now, I agree with this, though. If you look at the fruits of my labor as comparison, because I also am a girly with a lot of diagnoses, you can see, I believe, through the fruits of my labor that I'm obviously in a better place. Like, most of the people who find my channel again after 10 years go, oh my God, Brittany, I used to watch you 10 years ago. You're looking so good. You look so happy. Your face is glowing. People do not write these kinds of comments on Gabby's posts. Most of the comments are literally like, hey, Gabby, are you okay? Gabby, you seem weird. Gabby. And I'm not saying you should post these comments, by the way. But I'm saying that if the majority of your comments, the majority of people talking about you, if Brittany Simon is making a video about you and she is genuinely like, girl, ground yourself, because I am so open-minded to different people's belief systems. And yet I wouldn't saying like, Gabby, with peace and love, calm down. You know what I mean? Like, girl, it's too much and we'll get into it. But even saying from angel numbers to Jesus, like that's the thing. When you go through the pipeline of predator to Jesus, the pipeline of, manic episode to Jesus, it's too clear, girl. And you went from manic to Jesus. So it's like, you know what I mean? There's something there. Okay. Now, wait, chat said something funny. In college, the priest told my opera friend to sing quieter during mass because he was intimidating everyone. This reminds me of that. We all know that person who's singing loud and proud in church and they are just, everyone, you know what I'm saying? And you're just like, and maybe they're really bad at it. You know what I mean? And it's like, and then it's distracting people from church because, you're praising Jesus, but also you're standing out. That's the thing is like, you don't want to be the thing in church that overwhelms and takes people's attention away from Jesus. Look at me as if I'm still religious. I am not religious, but I'm just saying there's a reason her leader, her pastor probably told her this. Also, can we just talk about deconstructing patriarchal religions and remind all of us that none of us need to follow a man? But anyways, it's a different conversation for a different day.
For this dream, or that this dream doesn't exist. It's just a fringe belief amongst specific Christians that the Holy Spirit and the spiritual gifts that we are told to pray for in the New Testament no longer exist. They say they died with the apostles. So it's not that...
Yeah, chat said Shia and Kanye, same pipeline. She is in that group to me. When I see Gabby Hanna, I think of Kanye. I think of Shia. You guys, I'm so sad that you were so neglected and so many things went wrong. And also, you are hurting people. You are abusing people. You are hurting people. The harm you put out is greater than the good you put out. And I'm so sorry. And this is why I say when you take accountability and you really recognize what you've done, sometimes they can look like leaving the internet forever, not just a year. See, Gabby left the internet for like a year and she found Jesus. And then she came back and it's the same old Gabby. It's a different Gabby, but it's the same Gabby. You know, it's like slightly different, but it's the same.
They never existed. And if anybody has a gift today, a spiritual gift, or even just spiritual contact from God, then you have to be crazy. Now, what's weird about this pastor is he knew my testimony, because right away, the first time I stepped foot into that church, he beelined for me because he was hoping I would come in because people in town know who I am. This man was bringing me up in his membership classes, talking about,
oh, so now it's like, oh, I'm a status bringer. Yeah, maybe he thought for a second it might be nice to have Gabby Hanna in his audience until he realized, uh-oh, what the heck is happening? Which brings into question the man who married her, which we'll learn about a little bit. It's like, who marries Gabby Hanna? And then I saw a clip where she tells a story that she hit a guy with her car, and her husband's like, wait, you did? Like, I wonder if her husband is also going to have a realization of like, wait, who the fuck did I marry? Wait, who did I marry? Because like, I really do think like you might not always know someone's history, right?
how I'm, somebody who is able to hear the gospel and use my influence to share it. So he was all about me. I have to save this part of the story, but they literally were stalking me after I left the church, signing up for my Patreon, sending the link around to people, because I like made a voice note podcast about it where I was just like talking about it. He literally had the children's youth minister sign up for my Patreon, and all of a sudden we're getting text messages from our friends saying that they can't be publicly associated with us unless we like publicly recant, because I made a voice note on Patreon that like 30 people heard behind a paywall, by the way. Didn't name the
Chad says, I'm actually slow to side with the male white preacher. Is he white? Did she say that? I mean, I assume he is, I guess. It probably has less to do with him caring about her health and more about him not wanting to be overshadowed. Maybe. But I do know good church leaders will protect their congregations from people like Gabby and or predators. Not all, obviously the church has huge problems, but I'd also like to think that he also saw that something is going significantly wrong. Now, he could be the worst person ever, but I think the point we're supposed to make here is that it doesn't matter. The point is she overstepped. She went too far. And when somebody says, Gabby, you're going too far, she decides they're evil. And I'm saying he's right, though. She did go too far. I don't know what his intent is. I don't know if he's good or bad. But the point is that nothing Gabby says can be trusted because Gabby is untrustworthy as a narrator. And that's what we need to pay attention to. Not that Gabby can't also be a victim of something. If she came out and said, this really bad thing happened to me, I would want to believe her. The dilemma is like every story Gabby tells is she did something bad to him or bad to them or bad to her. Because remember, when Jessie Smiles was assaulted by her ex-boyfriend, Gabby didn't believe her. And to this day, Gabby says, you owe me an apology. So just a reminder that Gabby doesn't even believe rape victims because that was the whole falling out with Jessie. And we support Jessie. We believe her. Well, we don't even have to believe her. The man was arrested. He served time. And even Gabby was like, I don't think he'd do that. I don't think he would do that. Okay, Gabby. So I'm very that's where I'm coming from, just for the record.
The church, didn't name the pastor. I'm talking to 40 people who are actually watching stuff that I'm posting on Patreon, and they're from all around the world.
Yeah, but Gabby probably likes it too. That's the problem is you need to separate your personal life from your work life. And I think Gabby's the kind of person who enmeshes it, right? Like they enmesh, they move. Is that the right word? She doesn't have any boundaries with the things she does. My personal life is separate. I talk about my life, but and sometimes my friends and family watch my content, but that's not the same thing as me going to places outside the internet. When people ask me what I do for a living, I don't tell them. Nobody knows I'm a YouTuber. When family friends of my partner, when I meet my partner's family and friends and they go, what do you do? I do not share my stuff with them. And they're like, oh, can I see your YouTube channel? I go, no. They go, wait, really? And I was like, no, it's my work. I don't go to your work. You can't come to mine. I'm not trying to give everyone my YouTube channel. It's work. No, I don't want you to come to my YouTube channel. And so people are always like, oh, and I was like, that's the thing, is because they're used to people on social media wanting to be famous. So they want as many people watching. I do not. I do not. Mm-mm.
I'd be surprised if there was one person. There is probably one or two people from Newcastle in there. But this was not me coming out and trying to bash this church, right? This was me on my Patreon where I talk about spiritual experiences, privately talking about, hey, this pastor literally just called me.
What do you mean privately? You can't post it to Patreon and call it private. Did she just say her Patreon is private?
Clinically insane because I told him that I had a dream from the Lord. me coming out and trying to like bash this church, right? Like this was me on my Patreon where I talk about spiritual experiences, privately talking about,
That's not privately talking, Gabby.
hey, like this pastor literally just called me clinically insane because I told him that I had a dream from the Lord.
Well, but I mean, that's what I'm saying. The priests in my life that I knew growing up would tell you to go get medically checked. If I went to my local friend who's a priest and I said, hey, bro, I saw a vision from Christ, he'd be like, Brittany, you need to go get checked by a doctor. Because he is reasonable. Do you know what I'm saying? Hello? You know what I mean? Hello?
That's crazy. That's crazy. I'm not crazy for being able to hear the Holy Spirit and discern choices based on what I believe Jesus is telling me to do. Like,
and by the way, I know this to be true because I told him one time of this situation that happened where I was like, bro, one time I woke up and I swear to God, something was on my bed with me, but I don't know what it was. So I just went back to sleep. And I was like, what do you think? Jesus or demon? He's like, neither. And I was like, I knew it. See? He was like, you were probably just waking up from a dream. And I was like, even the priest agrees it wasn't anything. Because my brother's like, whoa, what if it was like an angel or like a devil? And I was like, it wasn't anything. And the priest was like, you were probably just waking up. And I was like, he knows what's up. That's what I'm saying. A reasonable religious person will be like, it wasn't Jesus, bro. It's not Satan. You're probably just waking up from a nap. Okay? And yes, I do get sleep paralysis, but it was different. It was crazy. But it was probably mostly like, I was like, something is happening. It's probably just my brain misunderstanding and waking up from a dream. But let me tell you this. That's what Gabby needs. Gabby needs a religious person who will say, Gabby, I think you should see a doctor. And the fact that Gabby's like, I can't believe he thinks I'm crazy. I can't believe you thought, or you think you're not crazy. With peace and love.
leave LA, stop trying in this lifestyle, come home, meet your husband, have a retirement, have savings, like just enjoy your life at this point and serve God.
Yeah, but that's not what you're doing. You keep posting on the public. That's the problem. Okay, so now that we've gotten a preview, let me show you her husband and her dynamic. And then I'm going to show you a TikTok just to make it clear. I want to show you this. Okay, so here's him and her. This is their podcast together, right? Okay. It's called Angel Numbers to Jesus. Let's check it out. What do we think?
Guys, and welcome to another episode of An Actually Good Podcast. My name is Gabrielle Kroner. This is my husband, Robbie Kroner.
Hello.
And he is assisting me today, keeping me on track as I share my testimony. At least this part of it. I don't want to skip out on any of the details. I keep trying to give like a Spark Notes version of my testimony, but I don't want to. So I'm going to start with what I think this is actually maybe chapter 1 of the testimony. Where did Jesus really step in? And the reason it's been so difficult to share this testimony is because my testimony is a story of divine intervention. It is a story of the supernatural. It is a story of basically having the veil between this physical world and the supernatural world thinned a lot. Just so many pieces in life just immediately started moving miraculously. Like it is truly a supernatural. And, you know, obviously when you start talking about that, especially when the world has been conditioned to believe that I'm just like a manic, crazy, psychotic person, like you're not alone in thinking that the story is crazy if you don't believe it. If you get it, you get it. If you believe in the supernatural, if you believe in anything, God, heaven, angels, demons, aliens, spirit guides, like mediums, psychics. Like if you believe in anything spiritual, then this is obviously a believable story to you. If you're an atheist or you don't believe in anything spiritual, then this obviously is not a believable story to you. And if you're a Christian and you don't believe that God communicates still today through supernatural means, through dreams, through visions, then you're not going to believe it. Like I had a pastor tell me to my face that he thought I was clinically insane. And that I couldn't like tell my testimony inside or outside the church again, or else I'd be kicked out. Like they literally sent me an email being like, we don't believe in divine revelation and we don't believe that God communicates through dreams, and we think you need to see a clinician. So you're not alone if you think I'm crazy, but my story hasn't changed, bruh. Like this is what has happened, and it's amazing. And lately I've been seeing a lot more people talk about spiritual gifts, and I've been feeling really inspired to talk about it.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. And if more people were open about it, then when people awaken to their spiritual gifts, then you don't see these like breakdowns that people have. Anyways, we'll get to it.
Okay, look at this TikTok I found.
Obsessed. I'm obsessed with Gabby Hanna's
husband. Obsessed. She can say I need a man like that. She can say the craziest shit. She can say the craziest shit. He's like, yeah. She can say that apples fell from the sky and she created Newton's law, and he go, yeah. I need a man like that. Anything I do and say, yeah. Actually, upon further reflection of the 30 seconds I've spoke about it, I don't think that would be very fun. I do think it's really funny.
I think, listen, that's the point. Like, hey, like, it sounds good, right? My husband supports me. He never questions me, da-da-da. You know, upon further reflection, maybe not. Listen, all jokes aside for just a second. The world is sick. And it's not because of some conspiracy or God or the devil or elites. It's because we're biological creatures evolved over millions of years, and we are a struggling species. It happens in every species. Sickness, illness, it happens to all animals. We are not exempt from this, and we are simply experiencing variations of this. And that's why we create constructs. We do research. We have scientists who are working on it. We are figuring it out. We're still way behind. We still don't understand the brain as well as we would hope, but we are figuring it out. And it might take another 1,000 years to really solidify a lot of the science that we've been questioning, but there will be answers, and it will be, we will be able to replicate it. It will make sense. There will be data. There will be studies. And I think what Gabby is going through is a lot more common than people think. And it's not a generalized common experience of religious people. And I'm not saying this to defend religious people, but most of the people I grew up with would see Gabby Hanna and think, okay, girl, you got something going on. And the fact that Gabby refuses to accept that the way she is conveying this isn't coming across well is a part of the insanity. If you know you're right and you have the data, yes, the world can turn on you and make you look crazy. In 20 years, we might regret it. And I also think in the day and age in 2026, the best thing you can do if you know you have the answers and you're correct is to work diligently to convey it to people in ways they'll understand, and to make sure that you are being reasonable in the way that you are existing, because the world exists very diversely from your singular perspective. Okay? Gabby's making a bold claim. And yes, it makes sense that people will need to see data for that claim, even other religious people, because religious institutions do have frameworks in place. They have structures in place to confirm miracles. Gabby thinks she's exempt from this confirmation, but that's because Gabby thinks she's special. And because Gabby thinks she's special, she doesn't need to follow the rules like everybody else. Everybody else has to follow the rules, but not Gabby. Okay? And that's the problem I see even within the first almost 3 minutes of this podcast. Okay, let's go back to it.
We're going to get to everything. Like, I want to tell you about the guy who came into my house. I want to talk about August 2022, obviously. I want to talk about the Water Cycle song. I want to talk about everything that I was going through, but I have to tell you where it starts. And for me, it starts with angel numbers. Hi, quick little crash course. If you've never heard of angel numbers or have heard of it but don't really have a concept of what it is, it's basically the spiritual belief that your guardian angels can communicate divinely to you through repetitive numbers. So that if you're seeing the same number all the time, there's a message behind it. It's rooted in numerology and New Age mysticism, New Age spirituality. And it is a religious practice that I do not participate in today. I learned a lot about it and through it. Stay tuned for the rest of my story and stories, the entirety of my testimony, if you're interested in why I, as somebody who was interested in angel numbers and engaging a lot and experiencing angel numbers, completely abandoned that and ran 100% into the arms of Jesus Christ and only allow my communication to end through him and him only. I feel like so many people are into angel numbers now. It is becoming so mainstream. Mm-hmm. Tattoos, jewelry, it's in songs. Like, people, you know, everybody has an angel number now. And it's like, I have 333 because it represents this or that. And every number means something else for something different for everybody else. Like, it's all just
keep track of it all.
No, exactly.
And by the way, because Discord said a partner should hold you accountable in self-critical thinking, that's the thing about having a partner that has your back. My partner and I have already established that if I woke up tomorrow and said, hey, I think I believe in Jesus Christ, I believe in miracles, he should take me to the doctor. If I wake up tomorrow and say, I think Jesus Christ came to me in a dream, he says, I love you, I'll consider that, let's go to the doctor. And I'm like, okay. because it would be abnormal. It would not make sense for who I was as a person. It would contradict everything I believe in. And as much as I want to trust myself, and I do really trust myself, because I trust myself to be consistent, and because it would be so inconsistent, I would trust my partner at that moment to see that inconsistency and be concerned. Because, you know, it's a big deal. Now with Gabby, I think she went away for a year, found Jesus, and then found this man. I don't know their timeline. So I think for him, he's thinking he's just dating another Christian girl, or married to another Christian girl. But he's also agreeing with her. He's saying, yeah, I've found more divine spirituality. I'm having moments too, and da-da-da. So they're either on the same page, or he doesn't understand the extent to which she believes in it. Because sometimes like religious people will talk, but they don't mean it literally. Like people sometimes think they literally mean they're hearing the voice of God in their head, but most people do not literally mean auditory hallucinations. They're hearing their own thoughts, and they just believe God is giving them those thoughts. Like when we identify as intrusive thoughts, like there's a difference between what my brain thinks and what I think. My brain has a lot of its own thoughts, you know. It has a lot of its like I can think, but when I'm thinking, I'm thinking, that's not my brain thinking. That's me thinking. And I separate them because maybe, you know, it is a part of how my brain structure works, but it's not I don't hear auditory hallucinate. I'm not hearing auditory. I'm thinking. It's in my head. You know what I'm saying? Like some people have aphantasia, some people have variations of how their brain works. Not everyone has an inner monologue, right? So you have to know how your brain works and what you believe. So this is Gabby's philosophical, right? Yeah, passive versus active thought. Exactly, chat. Passive thought versus like active thought, right? I don't know if that means anything other than quite literally what you're saying, but like my active thinking is very different than, because passive thoughts are not, they're just like more like my computer's running in the background and making observations. Like tree green, tree green, tree green, balcony high, jump off balcony, don't jump off balcony. You know, like, oh, Indiana has a lot of hair, fur all over carpet, fur all over, I don't even have a carpet, fur all over ground, fur all over ground. Versus me saying like, oh, I have to sweep today. Indiana's hair is all over the floor. I should sweep. That's a Brittany telling herself to sweep versus my brain going fur all over the ground, fur all over the ground. There's hair all over the ground. You know, it's like there's a difference. Or even right now, as I'm watching Gabby Hanna, I'm like cactus on the wall, cactus on the wall. Oh, look, a cactus lamp. Oh, I wonder who drew that cactus. And while I'm thinking about those things in the back of my head, I'm also thinking about how Gabby's sitting and how her husband is, nodding along. I have a lot of observations. I'm making observations. My brain is making observations and it's just putting it all away for later. Or for current, maybe I need this later. Because you know when you're listening, you don't know what you'll need later. It's like I'm storing up data. And maybe I'll need it. I'll pull it out later and stream, you know?
But for me, being raised Catholic, that was okay. It was like a comforting thing. So let me tell you my first encounter with angel numbers. Just as a quick reminder, if you don't know who I am, if you've never watched my content, or if it's just been a very long time, I used to be a storytime YouTuber. And so many of my story times were about ghosts, psychic experiences, medium experiences, like just different supernatural dreams, predicting the future. I've always had this type of contact. Like it's in my family, and it's not something that I could ever really help, but it was something that I always ran from because I was taught that it can't be anything but demonic. Like if something is trying to contact you from the other side, it has to be Satan. It has to be a demon. But there was never really like discourse around, oh, but also God might communicate to you through a supernatural mean. So if you had like a supernatural experience, it was automatically demonic. Right. In a religious stance, and then in a worldly stance, it's automatically crazy, right? So for years,
well, it's just automatically not proven. You have to prove it. That's the difference between psychosis and an actual miracle. A miracle is done and science can't explain it. That's the point. So when you say like, oh, it's automatically negative, it's because you haven't proved, you've just said it. Your word alone isn't enough. When you're explaining something external, that's why Jesus is a faith, because like you're explaining something external to you. So, okay, something happened to you, but something came to you or something happened to you. And so it also, you're claiming something that's like very hard to believe because trust me, we all have cameras and we've been waiting to photograph a miracle. Notice how the camera was invented and nobody's having miracles anymore. I mean, that's a joke. There are plenty of miracles that are happening, right? So it's kind of interesting. Okay, wait, chat says, can you explain your brain versus your thinking? So like, this is kind of the only example I can think of at the moment, but like, sometimes I'll make food and I'll sit down to eat it and I'm really hungry and I want to eat it. But my brain is like, we're not going to eat that. And my body rejects it. So those two things working against me. My brain is like, yeah, we're not going to eat that. And I'm like, I really want to eat this food. And my brain's like, nah. And I'm like, what? And then my body is like, oh, we're going to vomit if you eat that. Just so you know, if you put that in your mouth, we're going to gag it out. And I'm like, but I want to eat it. I just made it. I was really looking forward to this. And it feels like I don't have a say. I don't have a say over like, you know, my brain, what my brain is processing and my body is processing. That's how I kind of think about it. Like, it's because usually when I decide what I want to eat, I have to think about it first. And if I like the way it sounds in my head, I'll eat it. But if I think about it and I don't like the way it sounds, I won't eat it. So I can start off my day being like, I love the way that sounds. I'll start cooking. And by the end of it, my brain goes, we don't like the way that sounds anymore. And I'm like, but I just made it. And then I'll have to put it in the fridge and eat it later because I'm like, fuck. So yeah, like that's an example of what I think, you know, it's probably just autism to be honest, but you know what I mean? There you go.
Years I was like avoiding the spiritual contact. I was like very scared of it. But I got to a point where I was like spinning out and going down the wrong path. So right as I was headed up in my journey and in my career, I made a prayer to God. Thank you, God, for that. For this prayer, like I literally have to credit this prayer 100% to the Holy Spirit, where I asked God, please don't let me sell my soul. Don't let me get.
Yeah, it's giving Inside Out. It's so Inside Out. It's so Inside Out, the movie. Yeah, it's so Inside Out. It's literally that's how it feels like it's happening. It feels like I am me and my brain is doing its thing. And then I'm like, what are we doing today? Like I do try to figure out, like when I wake up, I have chronic health. When I wake up, I go, how's my body feel today? What does my body want to do today? Like I don't get to choose a lot of how my life goes. I don't get to choose exactly when or how I eat or how I sleep or how I do anything. I am absolutely here for the ride of what my body wants to do. So some nights I'm up all night because like my body has decided it's not going to sleep. So I usually work, or my body is like, hey, we're in chronic pain. So now we're not going to move. And I'm like, okay. And then sometimes I wake up and, you know, I am here to experience and observe and exist in this body. And I do my best with it and we're doing pretty good. But there will be, you know, days in which I'm like, please get off the couch. Please get off the couch. Please get off the couch. And my body's like, no. And I'm like, please, I want to go do something. I got to do something. Executive dysfunction hits me really hard sometimes where like, I don't have that need for urgency. I mean, I really am neurodivergent. It's not a joke. Like I know sometimes, I just had this conversation with my partner. I know sometimes you want to beat yourself up and be like, why can't you get off the couch and work? Or why can't you do this thing? I'm telling you right now, that's the disability part. And it's real and it's difficult and you're already beating yourself up for it. You already feel shitty as it is. You know what I mean? And so you're already telling yourself like, man, I can't believe I can't just get up and do something. How fucking hard is this? Just get up and do the dishes. Just get up and do the work. And then you feel so stupid because like, you're an adult. Can't you willpower it? Now listen, in the past, I would push myself to do it to such an extreme point that I really was killing myself. So now I don't do that. I've been to therapy. I've been diagnosed. I don't do that. Now I just tell myself, if you don't want to push through it, we can sit here and just do whatever. Scroll on TikTok, watch Netflix, chill, talk to your partner, sleep. Like you could push yourself and use tomorrow's spoons, tomorrow's energy today. Or you can just say, you know what? I'm going to lose today. Today is a lost day and it's not a bad thing. It's just, we're just doing this. You know what sucks about it though, is people think like, oh, that's so cool. You get to like not do anything today. But you are doing something. You're suffering. So the irony is that to you, it looks like, oh, I'm not doing anything today, but I am literally suffering. So yeah, all we get to do today is suffer. But hear me out. It's wise suffering. I'm no longer self-harming when it happens. I used to hit myself. Full transparency. Before therapy and before philosophy work, I would hurt myself to get myself up. I would literally hit myself and punch myself, like, you know, like get up. Like I would literally hit myself and scratch myself to get myself out of bed. And I just don't do that anymore. I suffer wisely now. Now I say the suffering is laying on the couch and being like, I can't believe I can't do anything today. I can't believe today's that kind of day. And then I just sit there and wait till it's done. And then when it's done, I get up and get my shit together. So be kind to yourself because suffering is real. I just want you guys to suffer wisely. You know, that's what I want. So when I see Gabby Hanna, I just want her to suffer wisely. And it just feels so unwise the way she's suffering. You know what I mean? So yeah, be really, really kind to yourselves because it's really real. You're really going through something, you know?
Lost. If I go too far, stop me. I don't care how bad it hurts, kicking and screaming. Don't let me have anything that's going to disrupt my soul.
Right.
So then I start going down that path in a bad way. This was in 2021 when I started making that series where I was like just trying to defend myself against slander, but then it was stepping into a territory that God was not okay with. He was like, this is getting vindictive. This is getting vengeful.
Yeah.
This is getting wrathful. This is no longer just about telling the truth. You're trying to hurt people. You're trying to repay evil for evil. And he stopped me. Like it was really, really bad. Like just every aspect of my life bad, dude. And I just want to take a moment to say as well, like my entire career where I was having the most success, everything I wanted, like at my fingertips, manifesting, law of attracting everything that I want with God, right? Because I was raised with God.
Okay, all of that is a red flag.
Never hating Jesus, but not knowing Jesus, not taking the time to actually understand like what my faith was. Like I'm getting everything I want. And
Hold on. I just got to do this really fast. This is Gabby Hanna on Vine. This was her original start.
Doggy.
We took him to a farm so we can.
Bubby, where's Doggy?
We took him to a farm so we can run and play.
Why?
So we can be happy.
He was happy here.
Fuck it, he's dead. You feel better?
Bubby, I drew a picture.
Honey, what a great doggy.
Not a doggy.
What a wonderful giraffe.
No.
It's a great piece of shit. Scribble, you little. Honey, stop!
Why?
You can't touch that.
But it's pretty.
You're right. What do I know? Hey, try this. Hey, you want to come out tonight? Oh, no thanks. It's a Netflix and chill kind of night.
Ooh, who with?
Someone very sexy. Bye. Oh, hey, sis. Did you wax your mustache this morning? It sure looks great.
Ew.
That's for making me watch Teletubbies.
West on Vine Street.
What the fuck do I look like? A compass?
I miss you so much. Oh my god, do you need to borrow money? No, why? To pay your phone bill. I was just confused because you never called.
She was one of the big
I love Halloween. It's the one time a year you.
Oh,
That movie was so. Okay, happy campers, if you were an animal.
I'm trying to find where's that infamous one where she's running? There was one where she was like so viral, it was insane. But this is very old YouTube, like or old Vine, old TikTok, old social media. Like this was really the vibe. It is kind of crazy how much the internet's changed. And look, I'm not trying to like bash on her for having that original time on the internet. Like I get it. Yeah, the racist one. I'm trying to look for the racist one. This one.
I love running through black neighborhoods with my shirt off. I'm gonna steal all of your baby daddies.
That one. I love running through black neighborhoods with my shirt off. I'm gonna, what is it? Steal all your baby daddies. Anyways,
law of attracting everything that I want with God, right? Because I was raised with God, never hating Jesus, but not knowing Jesus, not taking the time to actually understand like what my faith was.
okay, I just wanted that in contrast. Got it. Noted.
Like I'm getting everything I want and just so unhappy, very depressed, very paranoid, dark nightmares, a lot. Like I'm having bloody slaughterhouse murder nightmares all the time. I am in a perpetual state of constant fear. I'm being haunted. I'm literally being haunted in my sleep, in my life. Like I am just surrounded by this dark negative energy. I'm just constantly preparing to be murdered. Like I have no peace. There's no joy. There's no fruit of the spirit in me. There is no love. There is no joy. There is no rest. It's just like constantly obsessing over self, obsessing over money, obsessing over brand deals, obsessing over validation, getting everything I want outwardly, getting Teen Choice Award nominations, getting like Billboard songs, bestseller books, getting everything and literally wanting to die. Nothing is making me happy. I am miserable. I am a hermit. I am just like on like a hamster wheel, right? So then fast forward.
I mean, I think this is all very common too with celebrities, with people who are chasing money. See how money can't liberate you? Money cannot liberate you. It can only pay your rent. And that's why I say, like, I just focusing on money and making money your whole life. I'm telling you right now, you make enough money to pay your bills, but it cannot liberate you from suffering. Like, not this suffering, not conscientious suffering, not philosophical suffering. The only thing that can make you do that to alleviate you is to in my mind, this is not a prescription, of course, but in my observation, the only thing to alleviate mental health, the only thing to alleviate your place on the universe is to deconstruct, categorize things, and make sure you're giving everything its appropriate attention. Your body needs special attention. Your brain needs special attention. Your spirit needs special attention. Your finances need special attention. Everything we do in life deserves its own attention, kind of like your kids. And when you neglect your children, well, okay, and we are neglecting things. And I don't blame us. I'm not blaming you. Life is hard, all that stuff, right? And on top of that, we have like a war and a genocide and all these horrible things happening in the universe. So it's like constantly about zooming in, zooming out, zooming in, zooming out, and then zooming way out, you know, and realizing you're on a floating rock in space and you're a biological creature and all these other things. But Gabby is trying to make sense of the universe. She just keeps coming to really bad conclusions because of the really bad data she has. We need good data to come to good conclusions. And we need to admit when we don't know and when we're just filling the space to have an answer. I mean, I do that sometimes. You do that sometimes. Sometimes we say, oh, this has to be the answer. But then you realize, man, why is that the answer? Hold on, let me think. Well, how did I come to this conclusion? So Gabby, you know, she's exhibiting somebody who's desperate, which I don't blame her. The world's a desperate place. She's giving entitled. She's giving, I'm going to loosely use this word narcissistic, but really what she's giving is ego. She's in a place that is unreachable because she's exhibiting an inability to listen. I'm not saying she looks completely inside of psychosis because trust me, I had a friend who was in psychosis. They did not look like Gabby. So I don't know if psychosis is different, if it's a spectrum. It sounds like it might be. I'm not educated in this realm. But as somebody whose friend experienced the psychosis, you knew something was going on, like a big deal going on. So I don't know. Maybe it is a spectrum, you know. Also, I think she's bipolar, right? So I think they suffer from mania. I don't have bipolar. I don't suffer from mania. So I'm not sure. But I will say I do suffer from anxiety. And the thing about anxiety that's really interesting, right, is my anxiety manifests as fears that could happen, but are improbable. And sometimes, like I sometimes on a very rare occasion, I can't even leave the house because I'm like, yeah, I can't be witnessed today. I can't be perceived because I don't know how to exist in the world. Like, have you ever walked and then you realize what you look like walking and you're like, am I walking weird? Wait, do I look weird? Do my arms always flap that way? What's happening? That's how my anxiety can manifest, where I'm like, oh my God, do I look stupid? Like, not the stupid judgy, but like, am I real? Like sometimes my anxiety will like, oh my God, what's happening? And then I'll I gotta sit down. This is too weird. It's like when you say a word. Okay, the other day we were watching a show and a name came up on the screen and I was talking about my nephew. And I was like, I kept saying my nephew's name. I was like, we named him name? And my partner's like, yeah. And I was like, is that my nephew's name? He goes, yeah. Are you having a stroke? I was like, name. And he goes, yeah. He's like, wait. I was like, we named this child name? And he goes, you've known this kid for 9 years. Yes. And I was like, name. That's what we called him. And then I called my sister. I was like, what's our nephew's name? And she goes, name. And I was like, name? That's what we named him? She goes, well, we didn't name him. His parents did. I was like, we named him. I was like, we named him name? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, that doesn't sound right. I can't believe we did that. We named him name. And she was like, yeah. And I was like, all right. It sounds weird right now. I don't believe it. And then I was like, no, okay, yeah, that is his name, isn't it? Name. Yeah, we named him that. Yeah, okay. It was just like my brain was like, wait a second. That's what we named him? Imagine we had named him Zuko. And I was like, we named him Zuko? Wait, did we really name him that? Because it's almost like we just processed it. It's like my brain just processed that we named him Zuko. We did not name him Zuko, but you know what I'm saying? And that's how crazy it felt. You know, I'm like, hold on, wait a second. Is that what we named him? You know, it was that crazy. Anyways, it's like, you know, that's another example of like, it's almost like your brain is really like, it's mismatching. There's a mismatch. Okay. The issue is when that happens, I don't actually go, Jesus is working through me. Now, I do make a little bit of a joke where I'm like, God, I hope this isn't Alzheimer's. Like, I hope not. I have no symptoms of Alzheimer's, 0 symptoms of Alzheimer's. But sometimes I'm like, okay. So, you know, Gabby Gabby would say, did we name him name? Oh my God, I'm inspired by Christ. We named him name. Oh my God, this must be a sign. Like, that's the difference. Is that I just go, yeah, I must just be like glitching a bit. But Gabby's like, oh, that's the difference.
I'm putting out this series after, you know what, I tried to defend myself in this way. I don't know what else to do. And then I just start getting inundated with the number 666. And you can ignore it, right? Like, okay, yeah, I see the number 666. When you start seeing it to this degree, because 666 is a number you notice. It's not a number that you're just like, oh, I saw 111 a lot today. It's like, no, when you see 666 and you're already in sort of like a headspace, it's sticking out to you. So, grocery store.
But patterns. Okay, so this is another thing we do. Autistic girlies here. We notice patterns. And it's very hard for us not to jump to bad conclusions. But remember, we can also jump to really good conclusions because our patterns are so clear to us. Gabby is neurodivergent. She's noticing patterns. The dilemma is she's assigning them divinity. She's assigning them magic versus, oh, my brain is so cool. It's seeing patterns. I kept thinking about, my mom always said, what you think about, you bring about. If you want to see it, you will find it. Okay? If you start thinking 666, girl, you will notice 666 everywhere. Okay? If you are thinking about it, you will notice it. So I'm saying, like, you have to be able to say to your brain, be cautious what you manifest, because it will show up, not because of magic, but because you're a biological creature on the planet that will naturally, subconsciously start looking for that shit. Okay? That's why we run into toxic relationships. That's why we have certain friend groups. And that's why at some point you have to say, oh shit, I did this to myself, didn't I? Not all of it. You didn't do all of it to yourself. Some people did it to you. But some of the stuff in your life, you're like, my bad. My bad. That's me. I did that. Okay. How do I focus my energy on something else? How do I change myself and accept that it has to be embodied for it to be real change? And so again, like, Gabby's not saying anything I haven't heard from millions of people before, but she is coming to a conclusion that I think is more common than we think, but not as prevalent as we like to believe on the internet. I don't know about spiritual psychosis as a whole group of people, but I'll just say there seems to be a rampant what's this word? See? Why can't I say it? It's more. There's more. No, there's more. It's more. Faster. That one. Acceleration. Thank you. There's more of an acceleration in terms of psychosis, probably because of access to information. It's not like these things didn't exist before the internet. I just think it's happening a lot because of the internet, and people are getting lost in these doom scrolling instead of actually like learning. So, okay, I had this realization when I was trying to compare my TikTok use to other people's. When I go down a rabbit hole, I'm observing. I'm like, ooh. Like the Selena Gomez we did earlier, or the cloning of Jim Carrey we did earlier in stream. I go, oh, why do you believe that? People watching go, oh my God, I can't believe this is true. And I'm like, hold on, we don't know if it's true yet. You jumped right to it's true. And my brain went, oh, okay, you believe this? What's the data you have? Oh, no data? Oh, your data is a picture comparison? Okay. What else do you have? I'm not doubting you. I'm just saying, like, I'm not about to throw my whole reputation into believing something that I would rather just know. Because believing and knowing are different things. I don't need to believe in clones. I need to know if they're happening. I have no data to know. Therefore, I certainly don't believe. But I don't need to believe it because it's not a part of my interest. Like, I don't really believe in God or spirituality or any of these things. Or not spirituality. I believe in spirituality. I don't believe in, like, magic. But I do think if magic is real, the data will show it. And I don't need to believe in it because I'll know. And that's what I want for Gabby Hanna. I want you to know Jesus is real and God and Savior instead of just believing. But see, Christianity doesn't really require knowing. Believing is enough. Hence, Gabby saying, I believe God is interceding. God is giving me messages. My angel is coming to me. I believe it, therefore it's true. Even her church leader was like, Gabby, I don't think what's happening is happening to you. You have to go to therapy. And Gabby's like, but I believe it, so it's real. Versus she might say, oh no, Brittany, I know it's real. And I'm like, how do you know? because knowing means it exists outside of your perception. To know something is real means that an observer, like the way I like to think about it is that like a God or an observer could say, yeah, that happened. Not to say like this is a little complicated. So if it gets confusing, ask questions. But where is the source? Where is the data?
Pick up chicken, 6 pounds, 66 ounces, change, $6.66, everywhere on the road, 666, call 6661, like everywhere. And then when I'm opening up my phone, I'm looking at this series, right? This tweet about the series, 666 likes, 66.6 thousand impressions. This video, 666,000 views. I open up this TikTok, it has 6.66 thousand, like everywhere. And it's specifically attached to this series that I did not finish putting out. That's why I know it was divine intervention, because I went with that series further than God would have wanted me to, but he did not let me go further than he would allow.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm seeing these numbers and then I'm live streaming. And this thing happens where the number of viewers on my live stream hits 666. I see it. It freaks me out in my gut because I'm like, I keep seeing 666 a lot. Why would I look as soon as it turned to 666? And then I get a call from an unknown number. I'm like, ignore it. Okay.
Ooh, let's talk about the word brainwashing, because chat brings up a great point. Modern media has truly taught people to just trust what they see on screen and never imagine the propagandized or brainwashed audience would one day be in control like today. Okay, let's deconstruct the word brainwashed, because I think like my parents would say that to me, like the liberal media brainwashed you. Maybe we've lost sight of what brainwashing is or cults are, and this is the problem with cults and religion. Language is meant to add emphasis to the seriousness or lack thereof of said word. So I don't think Gabby is brainwashed, as an example. I don't think Gabby is necessarily in psychosis. I don't even know if she's manic, but I know she's wrong. And because she's wrong and she's refusing to acknowledge it, no matter who says it to her, it means that not only is she wrong, she's unreasonably wrong. And when you're unreasonably wrong, it makes people start to question whether or not you've been brainwashed or whether or not you're in psychosis. Because even religious people who are loud and wrong, there's some connection to like a reasoning for them doubling down. Maybe they have a monetary investment. Maybe it's a grift. Maybe it's all these other things. I don't think Gabby is grifting. And because she's not grifting, we eliminate that part of it. She's not brainwashed. She could be manic or psychosis. I wouldn't know, right? That would require something else. But she is very wrong. So what do we do with a person who's very wrong? Okay, and then when we get into it, it's the layers of how do you know you're right? If something you're experiencing is super, super, super unique, like, wow, I believe God's talking to me. How do you discern if it's God or something else? You do the science. Okay, you start investigating. You start doing experiments. You start saying, let's go to the doctor and check me out. Let's go get my brain scan. Let's check me out. Let's do all of the things I have power to do and then see what happens after. The fact that she won't do that also means that we now have new data that not only is she very wrong, she's very stubborn. And because she's very stubborn and doubling down and not letting anybody help, nor is she engaging in proving herself, now she's being dismissed because now she's not allowing herself to be believed, to be heard, to be known. She's creating the circumstance that isolates her from anybody that's saying, let's prove it. Because she won't engage in data research. She won't give us the data to research it, right? So then it's like, okay, what is this? Now this is where conspiracy theories really come in. She has no trust of anyone who knows better from her or other than her, and therefore she's always right and everyone is always wrong. That is where we get into conspiracy theories that feel like mental illness or psychosis. Definitely mental health. Is it psychosis? I don't know, but it's definitely mental health. So now, okay, no one can ever be right. There's no one she trusts, no church leader she can go to, no person, no doctor, nothing. Okay, this reminds me of when I was 19, when I was 21, I came out to my parents, okay, as gay. And we had a family doctor at the time who was Christian. He did Bible studies. He used to come to my parents' house. Remember, my parents were the original debate bros. They would bring people from all different religions to debate in our household, like people who sold books and like were famous in the religious circles, to come like, you know, read books. Some of my like siblings' godparents are like pretty popular, you know. Anyways, so this Christian doctor, I went to him. And my dad asked me to get a blood test to see if I had the gay gene. Don't listen, okay? I said, I went to the doctor. I said, can you just humor my father, please, so I can get this over with? Take my blood. Tell him there's no gay gene. He goes, Brittany, there is no, I cannot test your blood for gay. And I was like, listen, just appease my father. And this is a Christian man who held Bible studies. And he was like, your dad's being silly. There's no such thing as like a gay whatever. I was like, yes, but he belongs in a bubble that thinks maybe my testosterone is too high, or maybe my estrogen is too low, and maybe I'm more masculine because maybe I'm a lesbian or a masculine because of this. Like my dad just like, he is not educated in this, so he doesn't know. Just do it. We did it, and of course it came back normal. And my dad was just like, well, it must be something else. And then it was brainwashing by the liberal media. Oh, your best friend had a gay aunt, and when you met her, you knew. Oh, you watched Will and Grace as a kid. Oh, that's it. There really is an answer for the reason why I'm queer. There really is an answer for the reason we do things. If you really want to know the truth, it's out there. But if you're too busy, okay, if you're too busy, just like, no, then you're never going to find it. And that's what's happening with Gabby and what's happening with so many people, especially religious people, is like you have already decided without any of the research that this is the truth. And so anything that contradicts that truth, never going to happen. Like, not a thing. And so it's like, okay, I guess. And look, like, Chad is saying Gabby Hanna says she's never been manic or psychosis. Look, I don't know. Okay. But I would say like Gabby's been struggling on the internet for a long time. Okay. Like a long time. Let me see if I can just, because some of you probably don't even know who Gabby Hanna is, right? I have to assume some of you don't even know. Like, you know, maybe this is the first time you're ever watching Gabby or something. Let me see.
Just in case you maybe a little believe me that I could actually be the second coming of Jesus Christ, not Jesus Christ, not Mary, the mother of God, but me, Gabby Hanna, my...
If that is not someone going through a manic episode.
I mean, maybe.
Although I've been...
Okay, hold on. Okay, hello. Can I just get Gabby Hanna? I don't need like commentary, guys. I don't need your commentary. The point is that she's been on the internet talking about being Jesus and the second coming and like all of her stuff for a while. And that's kind of the point, is like, look, Gabby.
I'm drama seeking, right? I started drama. I just want attention. Ah! I do want attention. Please. Please! I'm drama seeking. Good morning. So today's attack on Gabby Hanna is that I invalidated an entire community by saying that borderline personality disorder isn't neurodivergent. So I thought this would be a really great learning opportunity. So I actually thought the same thing not long ago, and then I was corrected on it. So neurodivergency is dyslexia, autism, ADHD, dyspraxia, and possibly others. I'm still learning so much about it. But I just replied to somebody and said, actually, borderline isn't considered neurodivergent, which to my knowledge, it's not. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm still learning so much. But I don't think that that constitutes, or it's fair to say that I invalidated everybody with borderline. Today's hypothesis is that mental health is just the words that small-minded bullies put on weirdos with different thoughts and the ability to express.
I guess this is also me showing you that I cut bangs yesterday, but don't worry guys, it wasn't part of a mental breakdown. I've just been wanting to try them for a while. And someone's being relentlessly harassed. I don't harass. The answer shouldn't be for that person to quit their job or stop going where they love because people are harassing them. The people should just stop harassing them. I'm also not actually triggered to the point of screaming bloody murder. I was screaming bloody murder because I think it's funny, because every time I defend myself in any way, everybody says I'm unhinged. I can be unhinged if I want, but I'm not. I'm just standing up to people who continually insert themselves into my life for.
I think it's a part of mental health to engage with bullies. I think it is a part of mental health because you are impacted by it. Look, I am mentally impacted by people making Reddit posts about me. That's why I don't read them. It's why I don't read them. Okay? I don't read what strangers have to think about me. They don't know me. Yeah. If you keep reading them, if you keep engaging, that's what Dr. Kirkonda was trying to say to Ethan Klein. Like, you cannot read posts about you. You cannot take these things to heart. It really does impact us because none of us are immune to feeling judged and like also unheard. And also it feels really bad to not be seen. And to feel like, Chet said there's nothing on Reddit about you. Okay, first of all, I've seen posts. So I'm glad that that's the case now. Fingers crossed it stays that way, okay? Because like I have seen myself on Reddit before and it was really like people were making bets about how long I'd be married and people were making bets about my borderline and all these other things. And I was like, girl, this is not good. Or they thought it was you remember when that guy said I was a cult leader and then the whole internet was like trying to figure out how I was a cult leader? It was crazy. Anyways, it's just all this stuff is exhausting. So I'm like, no. But that was a part of my statement of mental health. My whole point of not engaging and not doing drama with YouTubers is supposed to be a sign of like, I don't need to engage with this. But I see the temptation. Actually, when Gabby Hanna recently called out Trisha Paytas and Jesse Smiles, what was the clue that Trisha had gotten better? She didn't engage with Gabby Hanna. As far as I saw, Trisha did not respond to Gabby, which was a sign that she had grown. And we were like, good for Trisha. She really got there. Right? The fact that Gabby is trying to get people's attentions and trying to attack people, right? And then she responds to all the haters is the sign of mental health. The fact that she doesn't know that is why she still feels mentally ill. Because we're like, girl, don't engage. She doesn't get it though.
I don't say anything about it. On the live stream again, drops the 666, call from an unknown number. Right now I'm disturbed, right? I take my laptop, I move to the living room. Once again, viewers drop to 666. I get a call from an unknown number. And now I'm on a live stream, really freaked out.
Hold on, not to be such an internet sleuth, or like not a sleuth, but not to be such a like a pro internet girly, but I just Googled Brittany Simon Reddit and first thing that came up, Brittany Simon is splitting. She thinks so highly about her relationship right now. It's so sad because she's a ticking time bomb. So with peace and love, Chet said you mentioned it in the boy stuff, so I Googled and nothing came up. Girls, I'm chronically online, so maybe I'm a better Googler than you. But the first thing that came up was Destiny subreddit on me. Brittany is splitting. She's so she thinks so highly of her relationship now. 2 years ago, thoughts on Brittany Simon. Brittany Simon making wild accusations about Destiny. Thoughts on Brittany Simon's review. Brittany Simon. H3 Snark. Oh my God, I'm on the H3 Snark page. No. Anyways, I'm just saying, that's what I'm saying. Girl, none of my business what happens on Reddit.
So then I hear jiggling at my door and I'm like,
but I also wanted to defend myself in case somebody saw me post this and went, she's crazy. Even her chat said that they couldn't find anything. And now Brittany thinks there's an internet post about her. See, I already knew what was going to happen, girl. That's why I had to confirm, because I just knew some boy on the internet's going to be like, see, even her audience says, but like, I hear you. You said my bad. No. It's okay. Listen, I live on the internet. I know where all the losers live. You know what I mean? Anyways.
I'm paranoid. But then the comments in the live chat are going, wait, but I hear somebody at the door too. Somebody's trying to jiggle your handle of your door.
Oh, is this
and
when
then
the guy
I look
came
through
over?
the window and I'm seeing shadows. I can't tell if it's a person or not. It probably was not, but I didn't have my doorbell system in because all of these reasons. So I don't have any cameras. I don't have any security. I can't see outside. All I'm seeing is shadows, hearing jiggling. Don't know if there's anyone there, but the mental state I'm in, 666, 3 times unknown number. I freak out. I like call the cops because I'm just in a paranoid, horrified, scared place. And I wasn't even scared at that point of like a demon, 666. I was scared because I thought somebody was watching the live stream, like one of these people, and then was intentionally watching me, waiting to scare me.
Okay, so that's the problem with being online too. You really get paranoid about people finding you.
By the way,
or recording you. So this is the time that guy showed up in Gabby's house. Like a guy really did show up to her house.
Hey, Nick? Yes. I know you know who I am. Come on. Why did you lie to me this whole time? Why did you lie to me? That's for my acne, you dumb.
I still don't understand what exactly happened, but apparently a stranger came to her house, was in her house, and she didn't know what to do, and she was live streaming, and it was just insane.
Get the fuck out of my house now.
And then she's trying to like play it cool. I genuinely think she tried to play it cool and tried to pretend like she was being cool about it, but she was freaking out.
Now.
Because it's scary. Like it's scary because, you know, I hate to say this, but I'm sure in the back of her human brain, she went, oh, what's the worst that will happen? Some random like fan came to the house. But this is why Julian said, stop bringing kids to my house. And parents were like, oh, but we're big fans of you. Why can't we bring our kids to your house? And Julian had to tell people, hey, as parents, you cannot drive all the way to our house just to meet me and Jenna Marbles. The fact that grown parents, that's what I'm saying, guys, it's the parents as well. You have to understand parents are raising their kids to be crazy fans. One thing my parents always did, one thing my parents always said is they're just celebrities, they're nobody. Stop putting them on a pedestal. They're just people. And I really took that to heart. I really took it to heart. You know what I mean? Because did he walk in or did he come into her house or she let him in? I don't know exactly. I heard he walked into her house. I heard he came through an open door. So I don't know. But I heard that he walked in through an open door. Because, you know, if you live in a safe enough neighborhood, a lot of people leave their front doors open. I did so much during my childhood. During my life, I've left my door unlocked and opened for so much of my life. You're airing out the house. You know what I mean? So I think he came through an open door, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't know.
Me as soon as it would hit 666, call me from an unknown number. Like it wasn't just, oh, I think there's a ghost or a demon. I'm like, oh, there's somebody really taunting me. Because what are the odds that 3 times this live stream would hit 666 and I would immediately get a call from an unknown number? To this day, I'm like, okay, that could have been any number of people who have my phone number, right? Like these people were really sick, like really like trying it. So then at this point, you know, I'm raised Catholic, but I'm like completely detached from my faith. I'm still trying to figure out if Jesus is an alien.
Okay, see, she said like, I was raised Catholic.
If he's like a real person who was murdered by the Romans and then exploited in his name, like who is this Jesus guy? So then I reach out to Catholic grandma, strict, like I was raised in strict denomination of a Roman Catholic church. She sends me an article on angel numbers. And up until this point,
well, then your grandma can't be that Catholic. Catholicism is very anti-angel numbers. It's you want to talk about demonic? Angel numbers. The Catholic Church does not approve of angel numbers. Catholic Church, angel numbers. There's no way. You can't do angel numbers and be Catholic. While the Catholic Church recognizes symbolic, mystical, and significant numbers in Scripture, it views angel numbers as New Age numerology and superstition. You can't be Catholic and do angel numbers. Here in Croatia, they have a lot of Catholic miracles here because it's a Catholic country. And Medjugorje is one of the miracles, but Medjugorje has not been approved by the Catholic Church, and yet there are still people who make pilgrimage out to Medjugorje, but the Catholic Church has not approved Medjugorje. As an example, it's like, hey, like, this is not one of the approved ones. You know what I mean? But I see Medjugorje pamphlets all over Croatia all of the time. I don't think it happened in proper Croatia. I think it maybe happened outside or maybe it happened there. But the idea is still the same, that, you know, the way I judge religious people to know if they're like within reason is if they follow the rules of their own doctrine, if they understand how to stay grounded in their own scripture, and if they, you know, if they go off the deep end. So if I have a Catholic who came to me and said, I believe in Medjugorje and angel numbers, I'd say, okay, you're crazy. Because if you are Catholic and you're following the rules, then you know these things aren't allowed. And you know there's rules to being verified, to speaking the way you speak. Because the Catholic Church is also a business. They don't want to look bad. And the pedophile stuff already looks bad enough. They don't need their viewers, you know, also going around talking about angel numbers. You know what I'm saying? That's a bit of a joke. Fuck the Catholic Church. But also, it does look a little bad for the brand to have a Gabby Hanna. So, good thing she's not a Catholic, I guess.
Never heard of angel numbers, but she was like, I found this, and it was basically saying how each number has a meaning, and 666.
And yes, there's different sects of Catholicism, but she said Roman Catholic. So
isn't a demon trying to scare you. It's your angels or your angel, your guardian angels, trying to get your attention to tell you that you're focused on the wrong things. You need to recalibrate.
Oh, Discord said she let him in to use the bathroom as a guy walking in the neighborhood. So he lied to get in. Oh, so he came to say, can I use your bathroom? I'm taking a walk in the neighborhood. And she let him in. And then she realized he did know who she was. Oh, that's so scary. Because you want to do the right thing, right? You want to let someone use your bathroom. But then, yeah, like I wouldn't let someone use my bathroom unless people were home. But yeah, that's so scary. Thank you,
Realign, recenter, get grounded in reality. And I was like, this makes sense. Like this angel number 666 that's attached to this thing that I shouldn't be.
I think that's the other thing is Gabby has probably had so many bad things happen to her, much like Trisha, that they just like really don't understand that you can't just move through. Maybe it's a white woman thing. You can't just move through life doing whatever the fuck you want. That shit happens to people. And I just feel like sometimes they feel like some of the risks they take, like they have no street smarts. These girls have no street smarts. What do you mean you were at home alone and you let a man into your house to use the bathroom? Like, are we fucking, hello? Do you know what I'm saying? What are we talking about here? It's just like some of that stuff doesn't make sense to me. Or like Trisha would be like, oh yeah, I've been kidnapped a whole bunch of times. You've been kidnapped a whole bunch of times? What are you talking about? Where is your sense of like urgency? Where's your street smarts?
Doing this negative, dramatic, dark, toxic thing. I'm getting unknown numbers. This is my guardian angel who I used to pray to as a child, getting my attention to bring me to this point. Because when I was a kid, raised Catholic, angel of God, my guardian dear, to whom God's love commits me here.
Oh,
every
Lord.
this day,
Triggered.
be on my side to light, to guard, to rule, to guide. Amen. That was a
Okay, we all get it, Gabby. We all know our prayers.
prayer that I used to say all the time as a kid. So I'm like, okay, this is safe. This is my guardian angel. So then I have this realization that all of these 666s are not demons chasing me. It's God getting my
Lord.
attention. I'm no longer scared. I have faith now. I feel safe. I'm being
13 minutes in, and I don't think this man has said 2 words next to each other. Or maybe just once he did. Bro.
looked out for. And this is coming from, you know, a Catholic grandma. This is a safe thing to get involved in.
Right.
It's bringing me peace. It's bringing me comfort. And then just as much as I was seeing 666 everywhere, immediately 222 is inescapable. Everywhere. And I have not seen 666. All of the 666s that I could not escape completely disappear. And now my entire world is surrounded in 222. Worth noting, at the time when I Googled what does angel number 222 mean, it was new beginnings. So the fact that I'd be coming out of 666, which was you have to realign your life, you have to recenter and refocus on what matters. I finally have this like realization and spiritual awakening. And now it's 222, new beginnings. And I need to like give an example because 222 was my first big one. I need to like go in depth about how serious this was, right? Like I had this friend who I was talking to about all of this. And as I was driving, I looked up and the license plate in front of me said 222. So then I was like, oh, I have to send this to my friend. I go, dude, look, this is exactly what I'm talking about. As I go to send it, accidentally click open their info box and see for the first time that their phone number ends in 222. Send it to that friend in that moment. And that friend sends me back, you have to be kidding me. The person in front of them also had license plate 222. It's 2:22 p.m. Right. So it's like, that's too much. That is unbelievable. That is absolutely like, and it's not just that one time that happened. It's like, dude, okay. This was the moment, this event, this night marked a shift in my life, like an insane shift of like spiritual energy. Right. So
what happened to things just being a fun coincidence? You know, I love a coincidence, but I just go, oh, anyways, you know what I mean?
Go out to this thing by myself. It was somebody who was a part of my band for a thing that I did. They invited me out to like their show. And I was like, you know what? I have no friends at this point. Not a single friend in my life. Very quick cut in to say that I have definitely been in a situation before where I've heard someone say, I don't have any friends. And I'm like, oh wait, I thought we were friends. There were people out there who I am still friends with to this day, who I will always have love for, nothing but just gratitude for. This is more so just expressing the extreme lifestyle change that I was going under. My friends were like normal people with like jobs and kids. They were not going out to like shows in downtown LA.
So what you mean is you don't have social friends to do YouTube stuff with or clubbing stuff with. This is very dangerous. When people say, I don't have friends, I was like, you don't have a single friend. That's why I think it's really dangerous when people come on the internet and say, I don't have any friends. Really? Not one person? And be careful when you say this because you're certainly giving off a vibe where, okay, guys, if you have no friends, that's a red flag. You are 40 and you have no friends. Either you were severely neglected and abused as a child and your parents did not raise you with community, or you were seriously fucked up. What do you mean you have no friends? You're 40. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. And so be careful the energy you send out to the universe. Be careful what you tell people about yourself, and be careful how you talk about yourself, because it really, it changes the way things go. And look, you might have been severely neglected and abused as a child, and my heart goes out to you. And that is unfair if you really got to 40 with no friends, because that means like you were basically, your parents failed you. And I'm so sorry that happened. But be cautious about how you talk about it if you're not in that category.
Like probably on a weeknight.
I'm just going to go out by myself in LA and meet a friend, right? So I'm in my 222 era. Everything around me is 22222.
Yeah, great. Chat says predators see that as you're already isolated and can be abused. Exactly, that too. So here you are online, a public figure, sending it out to the universe that you have no friends. And then here's people in your audience saying, I'll be your friend, Gabby. I'll be your friend. Here's some predator being like, perfect. That's what I'm saying. Be very cautious, because you think people are organically coming into your life. They're coming into your life because like, Gabby's alone and desperate like me. We can be friends. And then all of a sudden you're in toxic friendships and toxic relationships because the only people you're attracting towards you are people that are also desperate. And so they're like, oh my God, I can be no.
So I go out to the show by myself. My old manager's there. Crazy. This person that was a part of this old group of friends was there. Crazy. And then there was this person on stage who everybody kept asking me. He was just, I'm just going to say his name. It doesn't matter. His name was Lee, right? And people throughout the whole night just kept coming up to me and saying, have you met Lee? You should meet Lee. I go outside. I'm sitting by myself and I meet this girl who I think was friends with the guy who invited me to come see his band, right? And she's just like a version of me. Like, it's insane. It's like looking in a mirror. Like, we have similar facial features, like nose ring, everything. And we're just like turned into each other on the bench, like talking. And she goes like this, do you ever like see numbers like repeating like all the time? And I was like, you mean like 222? And she goes, yes. And then our phone lights up. It's 12:22. They asked me if I want to go get tacos after the show, right? And the taco place, they said, is right to the very end of the road. And there's the tacos, right? So they go, come get tacos with us. And I was like, for sure, let's go. And then as we're leaving, a little crowd forms. They're trying to take pictures. They're like, hey, we're going to go get tacos. Just meet us there. Just go out and to the right. It's like at the end of the street. I'm like, okay, cool. Right. And that might not be the exact direction, by the way, because I don't want somebody to like clock it and be like, there's no taco place there. The point is the taco place was like right there. Like everybody was walking from the venue to the taco place. You know what I mean? It wasn't like an Uber right away.
Yeah.
So then I'm like taking pictures. And then this last fan I take a picture with goes,
I think this is crazy because I'm assuming he probably knows a lot of these stories already. So then the point is like, what is the point of this podcast? It's just Gabby monologuing for 17 minutes and her husband is there. What is this is this a podcast? Is this a conversation? I kind of get it though. If you guys are struggling, chats are like, what's the point of her stories? This is hard to follow. Is it hard to follow? Do you not see what she's building up to? She is making a lot of like, she's setting into motion how she got where she is. She's telling the story of how she got sucked into angel numbers. And she's making the point of like how she found her path. She's telling us her path, like her journey. And the journey, everything makes sense so far. Like, yes, you had this thing happen, which led you here. So then you came to this conclusion. The problem and what you're probably looking for is why isn't she at any point stopping and questioning anything? You're probably asking yourself, hey, why isn't she saying, okay, like, what is the significance of my phone? So yeah, she's just explaining, but you see, okay, this is a beautiful example. Oh my God, pause. This, I'm going to close my eyes so I don't get distracted. This is exactly the difference between me being in my 20s and thinking my life was happening to me and me being in my 30s and realizing like, pause, I have a say in this fucking journey. Gabby doesn't have a say in her journey. She thinks life is happening to her. She's just like, this is happening to me. She's not actually, this is probably what you're picking up on. She is not in charge of her life. And I'm saying, I want you to be the driver of your train. Okay, imagine there's a train. Gabby is on the top of the train going like this, just letting it take her wherever. She's neither in charge, nor inside, nor safe. She's just on top of it, waiting to see what will happen. Maybe she'll fly off. Maybe a stick will hit her in the face. All of it's divine, whatever, and God or something. Versus I've always felt like sometimes I was outside of my train watching it go by. Sometimes I was on top holding on for dear life. Sometimes I was inside cozy, but I was a passenger. Now I feel like I'm fully in charge of my train. I am driving this bitch where it wants to go. Nobody tells me where to go. Now, sometimes somebody's train comes up beside me. Sometimes somebody's train tries to, sometimes robbers try to rob my train. Sometimes I try to get, sometimes someone's trying to hijack me. Okay. Sometimes a train, knocks into me, another train, or sometimes somebody, maybe my partner, his train is tooting and shooting right next to mine, choo-choo, and then I'm like, oh, hey, what's up? And he's like, hey, what's up? You going this way? I was like, yeah. He's like, I'm going this way too. I'm like, okay. And like now we're like, you know, maybe sometimes our trains combine as one huge train. We're together on it. But the point is that I'm in charge of my life. Gabby, she's just fully on top. Like whatever happens, happens. And I'm like, girl, absolutely not. Okay. Going back to the stream where we talked about the difference between our thoughts and our actions and passive thoughts and active thoughts, something similar where sometimes it feels like I'm just watching it happen and I'm like, oh. And then sometimes it feels like I'm really making this decision. Like I'm really in my life, you know, right? Chad said, is life happening to you a normal thing in religious bubbles? I think it's a normal thing everywhere. I actually think that's why I created my framework, the levels, and I'm working on it. I want people to understand most people, from my observation, actually don't know they have free will because they don't engage in free will, and it's limited. They have limited free will, and you can't make a choice if you don't have the data. That's why when we talk about being pro-choice, we talk about having agency. You can make a decision. If you have no choices, you do back alley abortions. When you have a choice, you go to a medical professional. You're only making the choice you have within your power because you don't even know you have other options. And I want to give people as many options as possible that work for them and get them to a healthier place. I want you to have a choice. And how much of a choice can you have? You know what I mean? If you only have so much of the data. It's kind of like a cooking show. If I gave you butter and sugar and I said, cook me something, well, there's only so many things I can do with butter and sugar, but I can make something good. You know, maybe a glaze, maybe a syrup, maybe, you know, like I could do something, some caramel, like I'll figure it out. I'll make something for you. But now imagine I give you a full fridge full of food. And imagine being someone who's like, I'll just take the butter and the sugar. And I'm like, okay, but do you want anything else? They're like, no. I'm like, hold up. You're going to live your whole life with just butter and sugar. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, but like you could have a whole store full of food. And they're like, I'm good. And I'm like, okay. You know, that's basically it. I want you to have as many choices as possible because you have a lot of options. You have so much option in your life. It's like a video game. I've been playing Pal World. You got to unlock. You got to get the technology points and unlock the ability to make something and then go to your workbench and unlock that thing and make the tool. But so you have to do all that work just to unlock a tool. That's life, baby. That's why video games feel really good. I think video games like that, it's like, oh yeah, this is life. Life is unlocking tools to make your base better or to make your life better. That's why life can feel like a game to people. You know what I mean? Chad says, I love Pal World. It's the first video game in years that I have liked. I'm infamously known for not liking video games, but my sister bought it for me for Christmas, a late Christmas gift. She's like, late Christmas gift, play Pal World with me. I was like, I'm down. She bought me Pal World and we are playing it together and we are having the greatest time. It's such a great bonding moment. And my partner plays as well with us, but it's so nice. The three of us playing, my sister and I bonding. I really like it. Like I'm so happy I finally found a video game I like because I like video games a little bit on Nintendo, but I didn't really, this one feels much different. This one feels like a lot of fun. But again, it really feels good to me because it also reminds me of real life. It really is a mirror of real life. You know, like I want to live in a beautiful world. I want to have a beautiful home. I want to have a beautiful life. I want to go on adventures. I want to power up. I want to level up. I want to enjoy my life. Like there's a structure to how life works. You want wheat? You got to go get wheat seeds. So you got to go harvest them or get them from somewhere. You got to plant a garden. Like nothing just happens. Society didn't just happen. We built it, which means we can build it better, which means we can do it better, right? All of this was constructed. We are animals on a planet having an experience, and we're still discovering what it means to be a person. I just wish Gabby and other people who are so passionate also turn that passion into good data gathering, and we're able to come to better conclusions. And again, the reason why she's coming off unhinged or unwell or mentally sick is because she's coming to really bad conclusions with really bad data, and nobody is correct but her. And that's why I question her husband. The reason I question her husband is who is going to marry a woman who won't listen to anybody except the voice in her head. And by the way, I bet this man doesn't make money. I bet this man has no money and no career, and he's using Gabby for her status. I said what I said. I said what I said. I said what I said. I guarantee you this man is 100% using Gabby Hanna. Okay, I just refuse to believe that he is wealthy on his own and he just happened to be with Gabby. And that's the problem. I don't know that. Hold on. Oh my God. Indiana, hold on. Indiana scratching at the door. Hold on. Let me show you this TikTok and I'll go grab Indy.
The best thing about tonight's that we're not fighting. Could it be that we have been this way before? I know you don't think that I am trying. I know you're wearing thin down to the core. But hold your breath.
Anyways, you know. Okay, so they're singing, they're doing their thing together. It just makes me feel like, okay, who is this guy? Actually, hold on. Is this his TikTok? 0 followers, 0 posts. Just this.
Come with us to the Steelers-Ravens game. Very cold, so this is what we're wearing.
We got thermal.
This is the only thing on his page. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? Leave Gabby alone. I'm so sick of these men bothering women who are going through it. You know what I mean?
Goes, have you met Lee? And I was like, no. And she goes, wait, hold on. Like, I want to go get him. You should meet him. And I was like, well, I'm actually going to go meet my friends at the taco place, right? So I leave the venue and then I ask the bouncer, like, hey, like, where's this taco place? Down the street, take a right, whatever. Should be right there. So I go down the street and I like take the right. And all of a sudden, I'm just like in the middle of nowhere. It's dark. Like, it is completely desolate. I'm looking around and I'm like, where am I? Like, where is this taco place? So then I punch into my phone, the taco place. Like, I texted them, hey, what is the address? 15-minute drive away.
Wow.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I like crossed a dimension or something because I was like in the middle of no, literally
what?
The
I'm
address.
writing.
15. So and I like take the right and all of a sudden I'm just like in the middle of nowhere. It's dark. Like, it is completely desolate. I'm looking around and I'm like, where am I? Like, where is this taco place? So then I punch into my phone, the taco place. Like, I texted them, hey, what is the address? 15-minute drive away.
Wow.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I like crossed a dimension or something because I was like in the middle of no, literally a wasteland. Like, it was like I looked up and I was just surrounded by like empty city. And then I was like, had this intrusive thought, wow, I could get murdered here and nobody would know. I look down. I am standing in a chalk outline. It was like art on the ground, not a real chalk outline, but I was standing in a chalk outline. So then I'm freaked out. I run back from whence I came, right? And then I'm back at the venue and I'm just like looking backwards, like trying to figure out like, wait a minute, how was I just a 15-minute ride away from this taco place that my friends are at right now because they walked to from around this vet? It was so confusing. Right. So then I walk back into this venue. It's closed.
Oh my God. Chat said sleepover stories. Yeah, she's giving sleepover stories. Stories you tell your girlfriend when you're young in middle school and you're like, oh my God, this happened to me. But it obviously didn't happen. Okay, I'll tell you like a story I told my girlfriends once. What that did not happen. It was not true. I was in high school and I called my friend. I'm like, oh my God. Okay, I was a kid. I don't want to hear any judgment. I don't want to hear any judgment. I was literally 14, 15 years old. Okay. So I call my cousin, I call my friend, and I'm like, guys, I can't even say it. I think I just saw a vampire outside my window. And she was like, girl. And I was like, girl, I think he was there. I think it was a vampire. I think it was there. Call him Edward, baby. I think he was shining bright for me. And it became like a lore for me, like through literally, girl, I'm blushing. I'm dying. This is so funny. And like, it literally became like a lore, like, I've seen a vampire. I'm pretty sure I've seen a vampire. And it's like, girl, shut up, girl. Okay, how about this one? Tell me this isn't autistic. Walking my parents' 5 acres at nighttime, hoping a vampire would come kidnap me. Hoping a werewolf would come pick me. Being like, you know, aliens, God, devil, if you're there. I would literally walk around with my like, you know what I'm saying? Like, please, like, that's what I'm saying. I tried to sell my soul to the devil. He didn't take it, girl. He was like, I don't know about this one. He's like, you might be too crazy for me. I tried to summon God. I tried to go out into the dark and be like, nothing happened. Nothing happened. So Gabby Hanna being like, I saw Jesus, I saw Christ. Girl, nothing happened for me. So when people ask me, like, have you never had something supernatural happen? Nah, God must hate me, bro. My mom asked me that one time. She goes, Bretzy, Nothing. Not one thing happened to you. I was like, Mom? No. And she goes, nothing. I was like, I tried, Mom. I tried to get something to happen. I would look in a mirror, Bloody Mary 3 times in my back. Nothing. Just nothing. I think the supernatural hates me. It must just, maybe Gabby Hanna has a monopoly on supernatural.
They're not letting people back in. And I go, hey, can I come back in here? I'm like looking for my friends. I said, sorry, it's closed. And this guy goes, hey, she's cool. You can let her in. Hey, I'm Lee. Right? So I was just like, this is so interesting. So then we're sitting at this little
Does she marry Lee at the end of the story? That's a joke. She doesn't. But, you know, it feels like it's a marriage story coming.
table. And he's like, you should come out with us. And I was just like, I'm just going to go home. And he goes, I really wish you'd come out. I think that you should come. So I'm in this zone of I'm just saying yes to everything. Right? So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go. So I get in this. It wasn't his car. It was his friend's car. So we're sitting in the back seat. There's somebody else here. There's someone else in the front seat and a driver. So it's like a little packed car, right? And then this thought enters my mind where I'm just like, I don't know these people. This driver could be drunk. Like, this is so irresponsible. The driver says out loud, by the way, I'm sober DD tonight. So in case you're worried, like, it was like, this is where this, like,
Okay, Gabby, he could have just been reading your body language and he could tell you were anxious, and so he wanted to reassure you. Other people are good at patterns as well, Gabby. You're not the only fucking one. She's mistaking people's social cue recognition for the devil. If I was driving a bunch of drunk people and I noticed somebody looked uncomfortable, I'd be like, hey guys, if you're thinking about it, just so you know, I'm sober. Like, she's literally just mistaking normal social interactions for God.
like phase of life started happening where all of a sudden people were answering my worries, answering my thoughts. Side note example. One time got directed to go down to Hollywood.
This is why girls create narratives in their head. Their boyfriends can read their minds and they must see them special. And this guy is so special because no one's ever read me like this. Girl, people are reading you. They just don't like the book. Or people are reading you. They're taking advantage of what they're reading. Like, we know. I see, you know how many people I see at the supermarket? I'm like, that guy needs to take a shit for sure. I don't have magical powers, girl. I can just read your body language, plus your booty cheeks, you know, shut so hard, girl. I get it. I know what holding it in looks like. Like, you know, it's not magic. It's observation, girl. Read the room.
Parked in this spot that literally magically appeared. And as I was walking away, I was like, in my head thinking, is it legal to park there? Somebody walks by me and goes, by the way, it's legal to park there. Don't worry. Literally, like, people are answering my thoughts out loud. So then we are talking about the 222 thing. And she's like, me too. That's so crazy. I've been seeing these numbers too. We pull up to the venue. The building across the street from where we were going to this bar, 2222. We go into the venue. Random girl walks up. Oh, we're at a bar. We're at a bar. This random girl comes up to us at the bar. Listen what she says. Have you seen my friend? She's the girl with the 222 tattoo behind her ear. Right. We're leaving the bar. We're walking to like his friend's apartment or something with his friends. So there's like a group of us talking about how crazy it is that 222 keeps happening. Drop my phone out of my hand.
Guys, she's been talking for 21 minutes and he has said basically nothing. Is he going to talk at all through this whole thing?
Falls to the ground, lights up, 2:22 a.m. So like this night is just seared in my brain as just like one of those nights where it's like, you can't tell me that this isn't something. You can't tell me. Like a girl coming up out of nowhere, like an NPC. Have you seen my friend? She has the 222 tattoo on her ear. Come on, dude. Like, there's no way. There's just no way. Oh, right. I totally forgot to tell you why any of this is relevant. So I had just written my song Happy in the End, which made my 666s turn to 222s because the first time in a very, very, very long time, I was actually focused.
I won't lie that my partner and I both have I am the monster. We both have a tendency to scream that randomly. I am the monster. I mean, it's so classic. It is classic. I mean, you know, I was thinking about this the other day, why certain people go viral, and it's because it's fucking stimmable. You know, it's stimmable. Trisha, Gabby, they just make stimmable fucking.
So what if I'm the monster that's been here all along? They're dropping like flies whenever I'm around. So used to goodbyes, there's comfort in the sound. Maybe I'm the monster that's been here all along.
I will say, Gabby has a good voice or whatever. I just wish she would find a genre that made sense for her and actually tried to be an artist instead of trying to be. You know what it is? Gabby's trying to be an artist. She's trying to be the manic pixie artist girl who thinks her life is a reflection of her art. She's the girl who thinks no good art can be made sober, but even though she says she might be sober, right? Like, she thinks her art needs to be emo. She's emo. You know what I'm saying? Like, She thinks the fact that she's fucked up makes her art better. And I'm just saying, like, oh my God, girl, you're not the monster. You have ADHD. You're not the monster. You have autism. You know what I mean? It's like, but to be fair, the media, the way we understand stories, the main characters in books and in stories, they are like kind of fucked up in a way that makes them interesting. Like, were you ever a kid when I was really young? I'd be like, man, like, I wonder what my thing's going to be. Like, I wonder what's going to make me special. And then, you know, I went to therapy and I was like, nah, I didn't mean like that special. You know what I'm saying? But great. And then what did I do? I still didn't make it like a thing. Like, I didn't try to sensationalize it. A lot of the people on the internet, like, okay, you know how people accuse people of being like, you just think you're autistic for views? Girl, I am autistic and I wish I could figure out how to make it work for me views-wise without selling my soul. You know what I'm saying? I get it. Like, I remember when Anna Akana joked about, like, do I have something interesting so I can make it a video? Do I have BPD? Do I have borderline? Or do I have, like, narcissism? Because I could really use it to, like, bring in the views. I just can't. I get it. It's a joke. But also, yeah, I think certain people on the internet do very well exploiting themselves. And they wonder why they're not happy. But then the solution is not to... Chaz says, just tell everyone the vampire story. Story time with Brittany Simon. I saw a vampire when I was young. You know, like, come on now. Like, Gabby used to do that, though. Gabby would lie or tell fibs about her story times, and people ate that shit up. People ate that shit up.
Focus on what I was created
But
to
then where does it lead? Like, how is this worth it in the end?
do, which was to make art, sing, make music, not sit
And I do think, okay, I'm going to say something else that sounds really hurtful. I do think the problem of being a social media person is that when Gabby became a New York Times bestseller or sold her poetry books, she got validation that didn't actually fulfill her because she knew it was just her fans buying their favorite person's book instead of somebody who really loved an author. Right. Like, you didn't sell those books because you're a good writer. You sold those books because you have fans on the internet. So you're not getting even the validation that your work is good. That's what's so painful about being a celebrity with fans and viewers who like you on social media is like I think if sometimes, like, you guys say, oh, I should write a book. Sometimes I think I should write a book under a different name and see if it does well. But then I know publicity is what makes a book sale happen. But also, like, I don't want to be told, like, oh, the book is good because you're Brittany Simon. I want the book to be good. But then everybody writes a book. Dr. Kokanda, I can't wait to read his book on Morning. But he's also a doctor, right? So, like, maybe and Dr. K has a book. Everybody has a book. That's the other problem is, like, everybody writes a book so they can make money and say, I have a book. So I think as long as a genuine publisher finds me and it's a good book, but I don't want to write a book just to write a book. I want it to be good. And so it's like, I want it to be worth people's time. Like, I don't want to be like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, who just, like, writes a book because they know it's going to sell, or 48 Laws of Power, like, boo. You know what I mean? I don't want to write some shitty book like that, but that shit's a New York Times bestseller. You know? We'll see.
be sad, obsess over drama, try to change circumstances that are out of my control to change. So I get this sign, 666, you have to refocus. I have this beautiful, amazing spiritual breakthrough where I write a song expressing this pain. It's also the first time that God communicated to me through my music. When he added the line to my song after I had completely written it, I was singing it out.
Did God, like, DM her and he's like, hey girl, love the song, but also add this line in?
Into a demo, and the line, I'll be your ghost or I'll be your best friend, forces its way into the final phrasing of this song. And in that moment, I felt God speaking to me directly. I can be a ghost to you, something you fear, something you think you can't see or touch that is just scaring you. The idea of me is scaring you, or I can be your very best friend. You pick. So then my 666s turned to 222s. The 222s led me to go out on my own to this event, led me to meet Lee, who introduced me to Luke and Simon. They produced that song for me at a critical time in my life, who have been there for me in so many ways as friends and in business. As an answer to my prayer, God, please help me find somebody to produce this song for me. It was
just a story time. Jesus slid into my DMs, not clickbait. Dead.
Unbelievable.
Right. So I'm fully immersed in angel numbers. In this time of the angel numbers, I'm obviously like experiencing that there is like interaction from the spiritual world coming, but I don't know what it is yet. So whenever I'm receiving these messages and it's basically like, okay, I'm Googling what this number means, I'm saying a prayer beforehand. And by the way, to be clear, I do not think that you should be dabbling in angel numbers. I believe that God used what I was using as a way to reach me. Like the devil was trying to scare me and God used it. But the whole time I was praying God's angels, God's protected, safe angels, not demons disguising themselves as an angel of light, and really putting this trust into God, like to show me the truth. Because ultimately what was happening to me is I prayed to God for answers and he gave them to me in a very direct way because that's what I prayed for. There was this time after things were really dark, this time where I like looked to God and I was like, I need to know the truth.
Wait, chat. Did you censor the B word? You said B word. What are you even saying? Did you censor out the B word for a reason? Wait, because if you're trying to censor out the B word so we don't use the B word in chat, censoring it is still using it. If you posted the N word and censored it, you would still be using the N word. So you can, if you're gonna, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what you meant to do, but I will just say, if you mean it in a gay way, like, bitch, what are you even saying? Okay. But also Gabby's not a bitch because she's going through something, which I assume is what you meant to do. Like, to kind of keep from using misogynistic language, because Gabby does get called a lot of misogynistic things. I think men really hate Gabby and we obviously want to stay away from that. But also I just thought it was funny. Like, I thought it was a little funny, but also actually great point is that, I don't know that I've heard a lot of men talking about Gabby lately, which is good. I think when she first came into this space, I think she was hypersexualized and be like hanging out with a lot of guys. And I actually did just realize now that you posted that text that I think mostly the girls and the gays are going after her. We should watch ourselves with the way that, am I doing an okay job? I'm trying to be very compassionate to Gabby, but also make a little jokey, but I'm trying to be very like compassionate. Like, I just think she's going through something and I just wish she'd be better at it, but let's, yeah.
I have this like overwhelming, heavy anxiety and fear of going to hell, of not knowing the truth, of like living a sinful life where when I meet you face to face, whatever your name was at the time is who I was talking to. Because I just always knew the God of my childhood. Like, I did not forget the God of my youth. I did not forget the God I promised my life to as a child.
Right.
I said I would die for you, God. I want to be a professional saint if this is a job. Like, that was the God I was speaking.
Uh-oh. I want to be a professional saint. Saints didn't want to be saints. That's what made them saints. Every saint you read about, they didn't seek out glory through God. They sought out the glory of God, for God. You know what I mean? So it is interesting when she's like, I want to be a professional saint. Humility was a common trait in saints.
To the one who was there for me through so many moments in my life. Like, I said, God, whatever your name is, I don't know if
Oh, chat said, is it the girls and the gays because she's being misogynistic and homophobic? I think it's the girls and the gays because she's not sexualizing her body anymore and because her breasts aren't out anymore. Men can't look at her and shame her for being a slut. I think that's probably what it is. At least on my side of the internet, there could be men making topics about Gabby, but Gabby used to have her boobs out. Like, Gabby used to be much more femme. She used to be much more specific. I think it's the way, like, I think Gabby is more interesting because it's conspiracy theories and angel numbers is also more interesting to girls and gays than cis straight men. So I think that's probably also why. I think there are more interesting people for them to bully than Gabby. And then Gabby's also trying really hard to stay relevant. And the only groups of people that are still keeping her relevant are the girls and the gays. Damn it.
Jesus is the way, because I was taught that, but the people who taught me that aren't reflecting that. There's so many contradictions in.
Yeah. Chat says you also have to die to be a saint. Yeah, Gabby. That's the problem. You have to die to be a saint. You can't be a saint while you're alive. You have to get canonized after. Thank you, Discord. You have to die. You have to perform 3 miracles in your name and get approved by the church. So if Gabby wants to be a saint, do you know what I'm saying? You see how negative of a thinking this is? God forbid Gabby, because she wants to be a saint. And you want to tell me that's not mental health, you know?
What I'm taught versus what the Bible says. Like, who am I supposed to trust? How am I supposed to trust anyone? And this is before I opened up a Bible, right? And now reading the Bible where it says, don't trust in princes, trust in me, because men and princes lie, but I will always be true to you. And I wrote down Jeremiah 33. This is a thus says the Lord quote, by the way. So Jeremiah the prophet is saying, thus says the Lord, everybody listening, call to me and I will answer you and tell you great and unsearchable things you do not know. Prophet Jeremiah
Isn't this the Old Testament? The Old Testament was fulfilled by the New Testament. Isn't she referencing the Old Testament? You can't reference the Old Testament. You got to reference the New Testament. Because anything in the old, we also don't do animal sacrifices anymore. Like, you're supposed to upgrade. Jesus kind of came through and was like, don't stop killing the animals, bro. He's like, stop killing your firstborn sons. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm confused.
Telling us, God is telling you to ask him directly, and I will tell you directly. Right. Thus says the Lord, call to me and I will answer you and tell you great and unsearchable things you do not know.
Right.
Unbelievable. And I didn't know the scripture at the time, obviously, but I called,
But you did it. Yeah.
Exactly. I was just like, God, tell me the truth. Like, I was so scared, and I approached him from this place of, I was raised not to question you. I was told that if I question you, that I'm blaspheming and I'll go to.
No, chat says, I wonder if she means saint simply as a person who acts of God and not bestow title. Well, she said, I want to be a professional saint, which makes it think that she thinks it's a job. Because look, when you're growing up as a Catholic, you guys get your saint cards, you get your patron saint. The saints are like fulfillers of jobs. Like, the saints are kind of like bosses in a video game. You know what I mean? To get to Christ. Like, they're kind of like the thing between you and, you know, which is why people deconstruct from Catholicism and go to Christianity sometimes, because Christianity says it's you directly to Jesus, versus Catholics say you can pray directly to Jesus, or you can also ask the saints to pray for you, or Mother Mary to pray for you. So I think she said professional saint because I think she sees being a saint as like a job, which I could see that interpretation of Catholicism, but I would caution you from thinking you could choose to be a saint rather than you become saintly through your work. Right? Chad said, I think she says saint but means prophet. Yeah, maybe it's like that. Maybe she's thinking about it like that. Yeah. Yeah, interesting.
Hell, and that nobody else can even associate with me if I'm even thinking about questioning you.
Right.
But I know you, God, my creator, the creator of the universe, the one who knows every thought I've ever had, the one who controls all things. You are who I'm talking to. Show me the truth by whatever means necessary. Make it so clear, I said. Make it so clear that I cannot miss it. And immediately, I just started receiving these unbelievable spiritual gifts of direct divine contact. One of them was with angel numbers, but mind you, like, see, this is where it gets so hard to like just stay focused, because demons interact with that too. Yeah. That's why having the word of God is so important, and why covering yourself in prayer and obedience to God, to Jesus, is so important. Because when you're receiving the spiritual contact, if you're still living in sin and like rejecting certain truths, there could be something giving you a message. Like, God can speak to you directly. So can Satan. You have to be able to discern God's voice, which is...
I've been trying, girl. He will not return my calls. See, that's what I'm saying. Who are you hearing? Because I've been asking Satan to call me, and she just will not get back to me. So what are you doing that I'm not doing? They say if you ask for Satan to come, he will. Well, I've been waiting. That's what I'm saying. This is why I say I've tested it, girl. But then maybe they'll say, oh, well, you can't test it like that. They're not going to reveal themselves to you in that way. Okay, well, so wait, if I ask the devil to come, he'll come. But if I ask him to come, he won't come. It feels like nobody is coming right now.
Why you have to read the Bible, because it doesn't matter how many visions come to you. If it disagrees with God's word, right, then it can't be from God. For example, the children in Fatima, who, which we'll get into a lot of that.
What?
And I would just like to add,
oh my God, he's going to talk. Oh my God, he's going to talk. First of all, what about the children in Fatima?
To that in saying, like, sometimes when you have a close relationship with God, Satan just attacks harder.
Exactly.
Relevant side note, growing up Catholic and especially watching exorcism movies, that was my biggest fear. And I remember being told that the closer you are to God, the more likely you are to be.
Listen to me when I say this. Every time I watch exorcism videos or movies, I'd be like, I did not care. The exorcism of Emily Rose is allegedly based off of like a real exorcism. I do not care. You know what I mean? Like, I watch it and it's not convincing. I'm like, I'm sorry you're going through something right now, Emily. You know? So I get it, because my parents are always like, oh my God, this is real. This is real. And I'm just like, I don't know. Chaz is the exorcism of your mom. Exactly.
Possessed or attacked by demons. And it made me afraid to get as close to God as I knew that I was and that I could be, because I was literally terrified of being possessed, because that's what I was told. If I get too close to God.
Yeah, I think, like, here's the thing. I am not terrified of any of these things. I was not scared to go to hell. I was not scared of possession. I was not scared of any of it, which is probably why I was like 666, baby. My mom told me a story where she said some CEO of some company sold his soul to the devil and he has 666 on his products and he became a billionaire. And I was like, oh, word? For real? Okay, hold on, pause. 666. I was probably like 11. I was like, make me a billionaire. Make me a billionaire. Literally. That's what I'm saying. Be careful what you tell your kids. They might try to sell their soul to the devil. And then realize it's not real and then leave the Catholic Church. Because honestly, I was overpromised. Now, had I been possessed, I probably would have been a great Catholic. But because nothing happened, I was like, this might be a lie. I think they are lying to me, maybe. You know what I mean?
Then like the devil's gonna try to possess me. And I didn't know how to not be possessed, because as much as I was taught the fear of demons and Satan, I was never taught the power and love and presence of God. It was 100% fear. I was raised to give Satan so much more power than God. I was raised to believe that Satan cared more about me than God.
However, you've given your life to God, so Satan.
Chad says this is so weird to me because she used to say she was raised Baptist Christian when I used to watch her as a teenager. I wonder about that. I wondered. Ooh, interesting. I don't know, Gabby Hanna. I didn't really watch her like that. Like, I didn't really watch a lot of her, like, so I don't know. But it would be interesting to me if her stories changed. Like Trisha's. Trisha's stories also change a lot. Like,
no longer has control.
None.
If that makes sense.
None.
No control. He will attack
no
you.
Access.
No access. He will continue to attack. In some ways, life can still obviously be very difficult as a Christian.
Yeah.
But, he no longer has that access, that control, because you've allowed God fully to step in. You've allowed Christ fully to come in.
Resist the enemy and he will flee. Exactly.
So that's what I would add. But
yeah. There was a day that I was sitting in my stairwell and I'm just trying to like practice singing. And I'm just like so ridden with fear of being in my house because I just didn't feel safe there. People had shown up there, packages are showing up there, letters are showing up there. The doorbell doesn't have a camera on it. My camera system is not connected. My back door is ajar and does not close all the way. And I don't know who knows that. And I don't know how easy it would be to notice if you jumped the fence. Like I was just scared. Like there was actual real physical threat. And I was really having a hard time sleeping. That was very hard at night sleeping because it just would have been very easy to break into my house. It was like you could have jumped on the balcony easy. Like you could have come through the back easy. It was just a constant fear, constant paranoia. And I just kept dreaming that, I'm going to be woken up by being stabbed. Like I just always had this like fear. So it's this paranoia that like haunts me for many years and is like kind of just at its worst at this point. But now it's like dripping into my day where I'm just trying to like learn how to sing and like get lost in a moment, but I'm literally afraid to close my eyes. Like that's how bad it is. I'm trying to sing. I'm trying to like just relax into it. And as soon as I close my eyes and get a little bit distracted, I literally jolt awake as if I'm startled because my nervous system's that bad.
Look, can I just say, when I was living in Arizona, I moved into the condo, townhouse, whatever, by myself the first couple of nights. And I couldn't figure out how to lock the door in the back. Right? I couldn't figure out how to lock it. And I slept in one of the bedrooms with the door locked because I was so scared somebody was going to come through the door because it was just scary. Even though when people live with me in the house, we sleep with our door unlocked a lot of the time. If I'm home alone, I do not sleep with the door unlocked. Do you know what I'm saying? If I'm home alone, no way. If I have people sleeping with me, yeah, like I don't care because it just feels unlikely, right? But when you're alone, your brain does start to play with you. Like I started to every creak, every sound I heard, I was like, oh my God, what is that? Oh my God, what is that? Is that a person? Is it a person? Is it a person? So yeah, you have a normal fear inside of your body because you're an animal on a planet and you have a biological desire to protect yourself. Okay. And your brain will try to keep you alive in case something happens. You're not having a unique experience. You're just having a survival experience. One time in one of our family friend in Arizona owned a log cabin and nobody had been living in the log cabin for a really long time. So me and my siblings were staying there and we started to, put fire in the fireplace and started to like wake the house up, and the house was creaking and the wood was expanding and the house was opening and the doors would go like literally, like it sounded like something was banging against the doors and it was the wood waking up. And my little brother goes, oh my God, bro, what if it's like a fucking demon? I was like, it's not a demon, stupid. It's like something science. We have to Google it. And we kept like, we didn't have the internet to Google. We didn't have our phones. And all of us were like, what is it? And I was like, it's not the devil. But it was pretty spooky, and like it was hard to walk around the house. So like, but we found out when we got the internet the next day, it was the house waking up from the fire. That the fire was waking up, the wood was expanding, everything was waking up in the house. But it sounds scary. Like it sounds really scary. And that same person, like they live alone in that log cabin. It's a big log cabin, like a basement, 3 floors. And honestly, if I was her, I could not stay in that house alone. There are just too many doors, too many windows for an intruder to get in. She has cameras set up, she has all the security, but I would be too afraid to live alone in a big house. This apartment is too big for me. If I lived in this apartment alone, I would need it cut in half to feel safe. It's too big of a space. It's too big for me alone. I do have a lot of like anxiety over fear stuff. So you mitigate that fear by doing what's necessary to keep yourself safe. Okay, live in a good building, cut the apartment in half, do all these things. But I told my partner, if you die, I'm going to live here for a few months. I might have your mom stay with me. And then I'm moving back to America. But like, if you die on me, bro, this apartment's too big. This apartment's too big. You know what I mean? It's too scary. It's too big. It has too many rooms. I don't feel safe. I don't feel cozy. I want to feel cozy in my space. I want to feel like if I hear a noise, I come out to the first room and you're there and I know what's going on. I don't want to have to go look for trouble. You know what I'm saying? Trouble. I don't want trouble to be hiding under the bed. You know what I'm So, okay. Gabby has all of these normal things happen to her and she just takes it to the craziest degree, which again is why people go, hey, are you okay? Because we're all having this experience too. We just have an explanation for it. We have a scientific, reasonable explanation for this thing that's happening. And then she's making it, well, supernatural.
So I get up and I get my taser and a pepper spray and I put it right next to me on Fred's cat tree. And I'm just,
oh, Chad said, don't move to America. Just get a smaller apartment. I mean, I don't know if I could stay here. I'm here on a marriage visa. I'm not a resident yet. So fun fact, if my partner dies, they're probably just going to kick me out. Or maybe I can apply to be with my in-laws. But I'll be real, guys. I'm going back home. I'm going to go with my family. My sister's waiting for me. My brother's waiting for me. With peace and love, like, I know, that I'd rather be with my siblings fighting than alone in a country, right? I'm here because this is what works with my family. But yeah, I'm going home. Okay, USA. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
like, okay, just now you're safe. Like if somebody comes, you'll be able to tase them. And then I'm like, wait, maybe I should hold it in my hand. So I'm like holding the taser. I'm like trying to sing. And I just have this like vision of where I am and who I am in this moment. Sitting in my house by myself with a taser in my hand because I'm afraid to close my eyes. Hi, Freddie.
Hi, Freddie.
Okay. I feel like this is where the story really heats up.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting on the floor.
Taser.
I got my taser in my hand. And I take this like deep breath and something just comes over me and tells me, you are safe. It just comes out of my mouth. And this is actually the second time I had an experience like this. And right before this, I'm in my art studio and I'm just like journaling like a mad person, writing all over my drop cloths, just getting out all of these thoughts. And then my hand, it just feels like it's so outside of me, writes the word stop. And then my hand just stops.
Girl, in high school, we did a reading exercise where the teacher would put the timer on for 10 minutes and we weren't allowed to lift our hand up from the story and we had to just keep writing. And even if we wanted to stop, just write, can't stop, don't know what to write, don't know what to write. I wrote one of my best short stories during that class. One of my greatest short stories I ever wrote was during that writing lesson. And it's not, again, normal things are happening to Gabby and she's like, whoa, Gabby, okay. You know what I mean? Yeah, relax, okay? This is why you have to educate yourselves, people, okay? Chat says, when I camp in September, the acorns be hitting the forest floor and sound exactly like animals running around outside. I can't get my brain to stop hearing it. Bear. Listen to this. When I first went over, I used to go to my grandpa and grandma's house for, vacation, summer vacation. And they lived in the country and I had lived in the city at that point. I'd been living in a suburb. Well, a suburb. And they lived in the country and they had like 2 acres. And the first night I slept over, I ran to my grandma and grandpa's room and I was like, they're like something, there's like babies or someone screaming or I hear voices. And they go, oh, that's the coyotes. I was like, it sounded like babies dying in the night. Like And I was like, those are animals? And they go, yeah, they're coyotes. That's how they sound. I was like all those people who go, I hear voices in the forest. I can hear people talking to me. It's probably a fucking bird. It's probably a crow. Like, you're a loser. You're a loser. Like, it's probably a fucking toad. You know what I mean? Human beings, like, we hear perfectly explainable noises and then come up with some fucking, you know what I'm saying? That's why I say I don't blame you for being religious. I don't blame you for believing what your ears hear, what you think you see, but I would question it. I would say, okay, what am I hearing? It's very Alice in Wonderland if you let your mind wander too much. That's why you have to ground yourself. Yeah, have you ever heard of elk at night? It's crazy. Arizona full of elk. The elk, oh my God. That's what I'm saying. Like, when I was camping solo, and I swear to God, it was a bear around my tent, but to this day, I don't know what it was. Bro, every part of you is just like, let this be over. Whatever this is, whatever this experience, maybe it's a demon. It's probably just a bear in my tent. Something was around my tent. And I just waited. I just sat there in the middle of the night, like listening to its footsteps and it's breathing. It's breathing. And it was like, and I was like, oh God, I'm going to die here. And I sat there. It's a demon. It could be a demon bear. Chat says it could be a demon bear. And I just sat there. I was like, oh, please don't let me die out in the woods all by myself. And I like sat there. I waited. Thank goodness I was near pretty other campers. So I really could have said something about it. But I sat there. I was like, oh, please. And then nothing happened. Nothing happened. Honestly, less scary than a man around my tent.
And then my thoughts just stop. And it was like this peace, like something in me was just like, it gave this command, stop. And then it stopped. So then as I'm sitting here in the stairwell, I have the same feeling of something else spoke from my mouth, you are safe. And as I said, you are safe, my eyes closed and my entire body just like was pushed down into this like relaxed, aligned state where my body is just vibrating head to toe and it feels like the entire earth is just like rocking back and forth. Like literally what I would imagine it probably feels like to be in your mother's womb. And there's this blue light that as my eyes are closed and I'm like in this like vibrational thing, a blue tiny light forms like in the center of the darkness and then it expands to fill like my whole psyche. And I feel this blue light just drip from my head all the way down to my toes into the ground. And it's just like pulsing this like warm, like I bet you it's what it feels like to purr. Like that's what it felt like, was just this like relaxing thing. And it just keeps telling me, you are safe. You are safe. And then
Chat says she has to be experiencing psychosis. Like, actually, I'll be honest. Again, none of the things she's exhibiting look like anything my friend went through when they went through psychosis. Not anything. Like, she just sounds wrong and loud and arrogant and narcissistic. And she sounds, because psychosis is like, when my friend was in psychosis, they were like this. They were like, the first thing they said to me that made me start going like, hey, are you okay? They were like, dude, I'm gonna save the world. And I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, yeah, I think I figured it out. Like, I think I figured out like how to save like the Middle East. I was like, the Middle East? I was like, what do you know about the Middle East, bro? And they're like, I think I got it. I think I know what I'm gonna do to save America. I was like, save America? I was like, hey, are you okay? Because like, I know you're like a progressive and you're into activism, but I was like, are you good? And they were like, bro, I'm telling you, I've got it. And then they would send me monologues and like monologues of things, but it wouldn't sound right, even though it sounded right. Gabby she sounds off, but she doesn't sound that off. She sounds just enough off. And then my friend was like seeing and hearing things. Like they started hallucinating, like fully hallucinating. So then she was like, my friend was like, do you hear the birds talking? And I was like, no. And she goes, I hear the birds talking. I was like, you hear them talking? She goes, yeah, they're telling me right now that they can see us. I was like, where are the birds? And she goes, the birds all the way over there. And I was like, oh, those birds that are very far away? She goes, yeah, they're telling me what the neighbors are saying. And I was like, what are the neighbors saying? My friend was like, I love you, but a meteor is about to hit us. I was like, a meteor is about to hit us? They go, yeah, it's a Russian nuke. And I was like, okay, a Russian nuke. And she goes, yeah. And so I was laying with my friend on their parents' driveway and I was like crying. It was really sad. It was like really hard. And they were like, it's okay. You don't have to cry. Like, we're all going to die together. It's going to be fine. And I was like, okay. And like, I just sat there. I was like, okay, I love you. And they were like, it's okay. It's going to be okay. And I was like, and like, they were gone. Like, they were really gone. And then there would be a moment where we'd be all sitting together and they would come out of it and they would be themselves. They'd be like, hey, what are you guys all doing here? And I'm like, oh my God, are you back, bro? And they're like, what do you mean? I was like, you've been gone for a while. And they're like, oh yeah, wait, why are you here? And I'm like, I've been staying here for a while. I've been here for a few days. And they're like, oh, and like, it was really them. Like, it was really them. And then they disappear again. They'd get sucked back in and they'd start going back into it. And it was just like, it was such a, like, there's like a hand on my throat. It was so sad. It was so hard. And it was so scary because we just didn't know what was happening. And so anyways, her family got doctors and interventions. And eventually we learned it was weed-induced psychosis. And it was really difficult. Like, she would try to kill herself by hitting her head against the concrete. The sound of my friend's head cracking against the ground will haunt me for the rest of my life. It will haunt me for the rest of my life. She said the voices kept saying to her that the only way to save her family was to kill herself. The only way to get out of the psychosis was to kill herself. So she would like slam her head and we'd have to catch her. Or like sometimes we all had to keep watch of her and she would wake up in the middle of the night, strip naked and start running. She would just start running and we'd all have to grab her. Her parents would grab her. Her dad would like wake up in the middle of the night and find her naked, like, you know, and we would take her. I have an interview with her. If you want to watch it, you can do Brittany Simon Psychosis. And I do an interview with my friend. It was hard. It was like the toughest experience. She is really great now. Chat said, is she okay now? She's great. She's fabulous. She's educated and wonderful and working again and has her whole life back. And she's free and she's wonderful and she's in therapy and she's a fucking badass. And she's so wonderful. She's so smart. She's so fabulous. She's so perfect. And she really bounced back from that. She really just she bounced back so good. And I'm so proud of her. And just really, what a heavy experience. So again, I don't know if Gabby has psychosis, but I will just say like, I don't recognize her behavior as psychosis, but I only have one experience with it, right? But whatever Gabby is going through, it's something. I just don't know what it is, but it is so wrong and so loud that I do think it's serious, whatever it is, right? Chet said, how did she get out of it? She sobered up, no weed. She slept. She got on anti-psych meds, which she doesn't have to be on anymore because it was just weed-induced psychosis. So she doesn't have to be on lifelong medication, which is really great. Not that it's a bad thing if you are, but that was kind of good news. She worked with a lot of doctors, did a lot of therapy, and she just kind of rested. She slept and rested. Her parents made a sanctuary for her at their house and just calmly let the environment settle. She took a leave from absence from work. I called her work. We got her leave from absence. And yeah, like she's just doing so great now. But I think she just needed time to sober up and get the weed out of her system and to come back to a physical, because your body is so, yes, thank you, Discord, for linking the podcast. I'll link it also in chat. I think her body needed time to get it out of her system, right? So she doesn't do weed anymore. She's completely no psychedelics, no shrooms, no acid, no weed. It's a big no-go. So that's really good. She's able to drink and stuff like that, but she stays away from anything that could hallucinate. And she's been great. So that's pretty cool. Kind of sad she can't do weed anymore. But I mean, I think that is a loss in a sense, but also proud of her for moving past this, you know? So be careful out there, kids, and make sure you're being safe. You know, just make sure you're being safe and be careful how much you're smoking and how much you're drinking and how much you're sleeping. It's really sleeping. Guys, you have to sleep. You know why I don't like fatphobic people? Because they say health at any cost, but they're not sleeping enough. Okay, look, we all have bad sleeping schedules. I don't sleep perfect every night, but sleep is a huge priority. Okay, you have to sleep. You have to let your brain rest. Even if you're a gym girly, your muscles aren't going to grow if you're not sleeping. You have to sleep. And forgive yourself for nights it's hard to sleep, but you gotta sleep. Okay? All right.
I like come out of this meditation and it's like dark all of a sudden outside. And I sing the song that I was trying to sing when I went and got the taser, right? And as I'm singing, I have my eyes closed and it's just telling me, just keep your eyes closed. You're safe. Like nobody's in here. And I would feel myself getting distracted and starting to turn my head. And I literally felt hand on face, pull my head back forward and pick up my chin so I could hit the note. Like it was like something literally had its hand on my back, on my face, like positioning my body, because your body's an instrument. It was literally like an angel. Put its hands on me, told me you are safe, and like guided my.
I do think people that are very in tune with music and art, they can feel like the spirit is guiding them. I do think that's a real sensation and feeling, but I think when you learn you can recreate it anywhere, not only in church, you realize it's not real, it's it's physical, right? Like that's what I'm saying. I'm saying once I could recreate the Holy Spirit outside of church, I was like, I don't have to go back. Gabby doesn't understand that you can recreate this everywhere. So that proves that our brains are the powerful tool, not the spirit of God. It's our fucking brain. We're so powerful, we created God.
Face and my neck and like opened my mouth like a vocal teacher in that moment. It was just like this touch of just divine intervention.
Right.
So then I get in bed and I'm like, this was an unbelievable experience. So I Google blue light seen in meditation because that was the closest idea that I had. And all these articles start coming up about how blue light appearing in meditation is Archangel Michael, Archangel Saint Michael. So like basically as a Catholic, I was raised with Archangel Saint Michael as like a protector angel who you pray to for protection. And immediately this was very familiar to me. So I'm like, okay, angel numbers, guardian angels, Archangel Saint Michael, like, wow, Archangel Saint Michael literally just visited me. There's no other way to describe this experience that just happened where I envision this blue light and I'm like literally purring with the universe and I instantly have safety and peace. It said Archangel Saint Michael will visit you to remind you about his protection and remind you that you are safe. These words come out of my mouth, you are safe. And then I'm visited by this blue light that this article is telling me is Archangel Saint Michael, who I know from my childhood. And it's like this whole thing just opened up for me. Like, wow, I prayed to God. I said, show me the truth. And all of this spiritual stuff starts happening and it's all making sense.
Yeah, now there's actually like a line that connected all the dots that stemmed all the way back to when you were young and you first heard of this.
And it's giving me some type of safety, right?
Yeah.
So then the next day I wake up with this newfound peace in my heart because
look at this. Chat says opaphenia, the human tendency to perceive meaning, patterns, connections, or casual relationships with random, unrelated, meaningless data, coined by psychiatrist Klaus Conrad in 1958. It is a universal cognitive phenomenon, often termed patternicity. It frequently drives coincidence, conspiracy theories, and superstitious beliefs. There you go, girl. That right there, baby.
I just experienced Saint Michael, Archangel Saint Michael himself, right? Has just come to me. Fred.
Fred's the star of the show now.
Yeah.
It's all right. It's not set to cat autofocus mode. It's people.
Yeah.
People subjects.
I wake up the next morning after having this insanely peaceful, reassuring visit, right? And I'm looking at the world with a brand new lens. Like I'm making my morning coffee and I'm like, wow, I'm so blessed. Every morning so far, I've woken up and I've just been like, my life is terrible. What am I going to do? Like I want to kill myself. And now I'm just like, wow, like what a privilege to just wake up and have a cup of coffee. This is luxury. So I'm praying to God, gratitude. Thank you, God, for this day. I'm so sorry for all the days that I've been ungrateful, right? So listen to this. Radio. She's over by my little French doors, rolling around being like the cutest thing in the world as she is. And gratitude in my heart, right? I go over and I sit on the ground and I'm petting Radio and I say to God, thank you so much for all the pain that I'm going through in this moment is worth it because you brought me this woman who gave me my cats. In that moment, she FaceTimes me. I have never FaceTimed with this woman. I've never spoken on the phone with this woman. Her and I have a couple texts back and forth because our relationship was mutual friends.
Yeah.
And she, let me know about these cats that were being fostered. I see her FaceTime call and I'm literally just like, I can't believe this is happening. That I just prayed out loud. I said out loud, thank you, God, for giving me my cats. She calls me. She starts the FaceTime by saying, Gabby, I know this is so random. We've literally never FaceTimed before, but you just popped in my head and I was like, I just need to call her. Okay, not nearly enough context on this. Okay, so when I talk about this like dark period of time, it was really everything at once, right? So mixed up in all of this was also a very sudden end to what was at the time a serious relationship, right? So I'm in this moment of finding gratitude in all of the pain that I was going through. And this was also the same day, the same moment that I prayed to God out loud, one by one, all of the names of the people who were coming to my mind, of people who have slandered me, people who intentionally have lied, deceived, tried to hurt me, exploited me, like out loud, God, forgive them. I forgive them. Please help them the way that you're helping me. Please show them that there's a better way. Please don't let them go to hell. Like this was a deep, sincere prayer of forgiving yourself and everybody else. And in this was also just finding a peace and healing with the closure.
You know what's interesting? I was watching Dr. Kirk Honda talk about psychopaths because he was talking about Chris from Love is Blind. Not that he's saying he is one, but just, you know, to use it as an example. And he was describing, and I knew this from my little understanding of psychology, that most psychopaths are, in quotations, lower functioning. They usually end up in prison. They're usually bigger moochers. They require a lot of validation seeking. They have a lack of, there's a lot of layers to this, right? But something in the way that he was describing a psychopath, my brain went, that kind of sounds like my ex. Because I've always wondered, like, what's wrong with my ex? Now, he even said some psychopaths get help. Some people go to therapy. So it's not to say that if you're a psychopath, it's over. Or to say that if you're a narcissist, it's over. Or to say that if you're a BPD, it's over. It's to say that with the right introspection, you can do work. And as I was listening to him talk and explain it in a very matter-of-fact way without any of the sensationalism from true crime, you fucking suck. That bubble sucks. Okay? It was like, oh yeah, I know people like that. Or yeah, that sounds like one person that I know. And I'm like, yeah, maybe that's the diagnosis, but he lacked the introspection to do the work, right? But to say that we're all having the same experience would be crazy. We're obviously having different experiences. The question is, what is the standard experience we would like generally people to have? And hopefully it's a healthy, joyful one. And that can look different for everybody. Gabby doesn't talk like somebody, in my experience, who has psychosis. My experience is anecdotal and maybe not helpful here. She talks like somebody, she talks a little bit like my ex, only my ex was not religious. He was like pretending to be progressive, right? Liberal. So the way he spoke was like he would say things that made sense, but then he would contradict himself. And I'm like, because he didn't actually embody the values. They weren't real values. And sometimes when Gabby talks, I get this like, she's telling a story, it makes sense, everything is coherent, but her conclusions are wrong. Her why is not clear. And so then I'm like, are you just like, is this the story you tell yourself to feel good about yourself? Which is actually, I'm going to finish editing today's podcast. I talk about that in the podcast because that comedian Corey Holbrook or whatever his name is, or Holcomb or whatever his name is, Holcomb, he said, I date women in poverty who are impoverished, who are struggling, because I can give them money and then they'll give me what I want, and they can't run away from me because I have money, and then they have to say yes to me. And I was like, yeah, he's like got a strategy. He's got a why. He's sitting here saying it with his full chest. He's making it like, you can say it's a joke, but like he's a bad person, right? He's like an evil dude. And what he's saying is crazy and it makes sense. I think when the thing you're saying is crazy and it makes sense, meaning it's not psychosis in the sense that psychosis, like nothing my friend was saying made sense. Like nothing she could say to me mapped on, and it didn't make sense. Holcomb, thank you. Nothing she said made sense to me. Well, Gabby is saying everything makes sense to me. It's just wrong. I wish I had better language for this, but does that make sense? I'm like, yeah, you're just wrong, dude. You're wrong. And that's why I'm saying I understand how Gabby got from point A to point B. It all connects. She's laying it out very clearly. I just think you're wrong. And because you're wrong and very loud, it makes people think you're crazy. Because how could you be so loud and wrong? But hello, Trump. Hello, conservatives. Hello, people. You know what I'm saying? So like when Kanye would speak, he would not make sense to me. Sometimes he did, but often he did not. Where I was like, you're not making any sense. But then he would make sense. And I'm like, okay, so this is a Kanye that's making so much sense. This is Kanye who's making no sense. These are two different Kanyes. These are different people. sometimes people in their moments, and I'm not judging, by the way, you are not a bad person if you have psychosis. You're not a bad person if you're manic. You're not a bad person if you're suffering. Like, I get it, bro. Life happens. You're not a bad person. You're still responsible for what your body and mouth does during that time, not to the same extent, but you're still responsible. You should apologize. And when you're not in that mode of being, you should recover. The dilemma is like, when you're outside of that mode of being, why aren't you recovering? Why aren't you recovering? Why aren't you showing up saying, hey guys, sorry I was in an episode. I'm good now. And then show up good now. And that's where your sanity comes into question. If this isn't psychosis, which we would not know because we're not medical professionals, and it's not exhibiting enough data points for me to map onto that conclusion, what is it? And then why aren't you coming to the right, why aren't you saying or doing the right? Because you could see the different versions, because even just posting the content, that's why I say with Trisha and all these other people, you cannot make a living being so offensive and doing the most outrageous shit, get rich and famous, and then be like, I was going through something. Girl, we're all going through something. Maybe not to the same extent, but this is also what makes people feel like I can't express the fact that I'm going through something because no one will take me seriously. A good doctor, a good medical professional, a good friend will take you seriously and help you get better. I take Gabby very seriously, and I'd like you to get better. Because what you're saying, you are working off limited data, and though I see how you got there, I believe with other data, you will change your conclusion. Because if you are the type of person who's willing to change your conclusion with better data, then I can trust you in a sense to be this experience or this level of introspective and or adult. When you go to your parent and you say, you hit me as a child, and they go, no, I didn't. I never hit you. And I go, no, don't play with me. You know you hit me as a kid. And they're like, I barely hit you. That was basic discipline. We didn't even hit you past the age of 15. I'm like, but you hit me, right? And they're like, well, I didn't hit you. And I was like, but you spanked me. They're like, sure, like we spank kids. That's them being in denial and being arrogant and being embarrassed and them like being defensive. That's not them trying to gaslight me. If I went to my parents and I was like, you hit me, they're like, no, I never hit you. And I was like, you hit me. And they're like, I have never hit you. And the fact that you're saying that makes me so concerned. I have never hit you. And I was like, dude, you absolutely hit me. You hit a lot of us. They're like, that never happened. Now we're getting into the territory of deep liar and or gaslighting and or, right? And that's why you have to be very careful with how people are communicating with you. And you have to do the due diligence to discern. What are you seeing? Guys, this is a test for you as much as it is for Gabby. Are you pulling a Gabby by thinking she's in psychosis? Are you seeing a pattern there that doesn't exist or doesn't share you the data? Are you thinking she's in psychosis because she is and you know, or because you're pulling a Gabby on Gabby? Be careful what you think you know. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying I need more data personally to come to this conclusion. I'm not seeing it yet. It doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means like I'm not about to say just for the sake of it, just because it's good for the YouTubes. So make sure you're not pulling a Gabby on a Gabby.
A relationship and finding a silver lining in the heartbreak, which was, wow, if none of that happened, I would have never met this mutual friend who answered my post about, hey, I'm really looking to adopt some cats. Does anybody have any cats to adopt? And she happened to know somebody who had a beautiful cat. So it was like incredible. Anyway, I say my forgiveness prayer and then I say, and thank you, God, for this whole thing that led me to this woman who led me to my cats. And then I look at my phone and I had a FaceTime call from her. It was crazy.
And I'm literally just staring at the phone like, I can't believe that just happened. Like, that's like unbelievable. Oh. Wait. That's so cute.
It is pretty cute.
He's so peaceful.
You really wanted to come back on this chair, even if it means sitting with me.
He loves sitting with you. He just has to adjust to having somebody other than radio to compete with for my attention.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I literally am in shock and awe. I cannot believe that this phone call just happened in this moment where I just had her thought and it's like, I thought of you like right away. So then.
Wait, Chet said, Gabby, why leave this in? Why leave in the cute cat moment? What do you mean? Wait, are you asking that? Gabby, why leave this in? You mean the cute cat moment? Why are we judging the cute cat moment? Did I miss something? Did something bad happen? That's like the cutest part of this whole podcast. That's the most like humanizing part of the whole podcast. You know what I'm saying?
I get a knock at the door and somebody delivers a package of like fan mail. And it was to me and someone else. So I reach out to that person. I'm like, hey, by the way, this showed up to my door. And my friend is like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That probably makes you feel so unsafe. Like knowing that I'd been, getting a lot of threats and stuff. And like, oh, that sucks. You got another package to your door. Your address is out there. It makes you uncomfortable. And I said, actually, no, like I don't feel unsafe at all. Like it was this feeling of, wait a minute, I do feel safe. And as I said that, my vision goes white again. I'm on my back, literally just seeing like these unbelievable like kaleidoscopic colors again in a deep state of meditation. It's like I said the words, actually, no, I do feel safe. And then I started like blacking out. I told my friend, I gotta go.
Okay, for the record, guys, I support meditation. I think you should meditate, but meditation can also cause mental health problems, including psychosis. You have to discern if you are being appropriate with your engagement in meditation and other things. There are so many studies that have been done about mental health, suicidal thoughts, because when you meditate, you open up your brain and you open up your body, you open up everything. And to experience, it's like the same thing when you learn news from like, okay, if you learned your father was a pedophile, would this not shatter your life? Like, would your life not feel like nothing makes sense in the whole universe? I'm so sorry for those of you who already have pedophile fathers, okay? But it would be very shocking if I found that out. I'd be like my whole universe would be like, oh, fuck. Like, wait, like everything about my childhood would change, everything. That's how things can feel when you're meditating, when you're learning, when you're doing school. Anytime you open up your brain to new information, that's shocking. That's why I say, like, how much free will can we have if we're shattered by a piece of news? If somebody dying, even though everybody dies, can shatter your brain. If a parent finding out their kid has died, even though all kids will die, shatters, you know what I'm saying? Then how much free will do we really have? So you have to be very careful and cautious about the way your brain processes information, which is why I recommend pre-morning. I recommend pre-preparing. I recommend talking and thinking about it, being ready for a child to die. I have been preparing for one of the kids in my family to die for years because it could happen to us. We are not exempt from being one of those families where you get a phone call and the 4-year-old died in the lake. We don't get to decide we're the exception. And so, yeah, I've already move through a lot of the part. I will still mourn. I will still be devastated, but I will not be shattered. I will not be shattered by the reality of existence because I already was too overwhelmed with it before in my 20s until my therapist did DBT with me and taught me to process life as what it is. You keep holding on to life for what it will be in your head instead of what it is. And it shatters you every time a new piece of information comes in. And so now I'm like, okay, I want to stop being shocked at the fact that I don't want it to stop me from existing. I want to be shocked at horrible things. I want to express disgust at bad things, but I also want to be ready for the fact that because okay, when my friend went through psychosis, I was not ready. I was not a good support system. I was not perfect in my endeavor to help them. I was not prepared and I let them down. And it was hard. That was an apology that was really hard to make. It was really shitty to think I had read all the books and I had been so educated and I was so progressive and I had to know what would happen. And then it happened and I was not prepared. And so now I tried to tell myself, okay, if anything happens, 1, we stay calm, and 2, we slow down and take a deep breath. Because as life happens, you become chaotic. Think about your regular life. Think about a doctor's appointment being canceled or a car crash happening. It ruins your whole day. But now think of a real tragedy. That's why the psychological damage done in these genocides and all of these atrocities happening to human beings, it isn't just happening on this day or in this year. It's happening for the next 80 years to 100 years. You will impact all these families. These children, these amputees you're creating, these kids who will never get the right therapy. And not only that, but how many of these people belong in religious communities and don't even believe in therapy? So now we have a foreign country coming in and bombing these people, and then half of them won't even send their kids to therapy, just like in my family, they don't believe in therapy because they believe in God. Do you know what I mean? So again, when we have these conversations, right, we have to prepare ourselves and know we won't always be in control. So you know how they say drunk people do better in car accidents because they don't resist, they just go like this? That's how you kind of want to be in life. Only, reasonable about it. Be reasonable. Don't be stupid, okay? Don't be stupid. Be reasonable. and allow yourself to go through life without fighting it, because you'll hurt yourself. Okay? Be a little joy, boy, you know?
Laid on the couch, get back into this breathing state that I've never known how to do on the couch. And then I'm just seeing these like beautiful colors, like these lights, like in my brain, like it's taking me like on this journey, like up through leaves, like into the sky, like showing me all of these like just beautiful, like beyond kaleidoscope. It's like nature cut up into a kaleidoscope, just like beautiful visions of like lights and nature out of nowhere at the words like, no, actually, I don't feel unsafe. I feel very safe. Just right. So that day I have a dentist appointment. So I'm like, okay, I got to go to this appointment. I'm driving. I'm like reeling by everything that's happened in the past 12 hours. I'm visited by this light. I learned that there's these angel lights that communicate to you and that Saint Michael might be talking to me directly. I express gratitude for this woman and my cats and she calls me on the spot. Like I'm praying in this moment. This is when I prayed for my enemies by name. Forgive them, Lord. I forgive them. Help me to forgive them.
Just as she discovered imagination, it does feel a little bit like that. Like, girl, are you just imagining? Because listen, when I was on shrooms, I did a lot of shrooms for Brittany. And my brain was like, God is real. And I was like, God is real. And then my brain was like, Brittany, you're on shrooms. And I'm like, hey, I'm on shrooms. Don't try to trick me, brain. And I was like talking to all myself in my head. I was like, you're on drugs. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm on drugs. Because my brain was like, oh God. And I felt it, guys, it was so deep in my body. I was like, God is real. God is real. And then I was like, wait a second. Hold on now. And that part of my brain is only there because I'm me. Imagine all the people who do not have that thing in their brain that goes, you're on drugs. You're on drugs. How many people come out of shrooms literally believing that everything they saw was real? And look, there are people I meet every day that are like, Brittany, it is real. And I'm like, okay. It's not. It's the chemicals in your brain. It's the chemicals in your brain.
Help them the way you help me, like turn from this lifestyle, like just all this stuff at once, right? I take a left, hit somebody with my car. Hit them with my, did I ever tell you?
Listen to this.
All this stuff at once, right? I take a left, hit somebody with my car. Hit them with my, did I ever tell you this?
Hit a person?
I hit a person, a person walking, hit them with my car. You know what I mean? And I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, do you want my information? Are you okay? Like, and they're like, no, just mad, obviously. Watch it. Like, be careful. And I'm just like, I could have killed this person. You know what I mean? Like all of this stuff happening all at once. I go into the dentist. They do their little thing. The whole time I'm just laying there thinking about, I could have just killed this person. This is unbelievable. I almost took this person out. I go home, right? I'm like, all right, I have a moment to like sit down with everything that just happened. The package showing up at my door, falling into another state of seeing all these kaleidoscopic, Google.
I have a question. Do we think women are going through psychosis because we're misogynistic versus men are grifters? Because I'm still not seeing psychosis, but I am seeing narcissism. I am seeing grandiose. I am seeing just entitlement. I am seeing, do you know what I'm saying? Why do we keep thinking she's in psychosis? You know what I mean? She just sounds like a man who's obsessed with herself. Girl, does your life, you know what I'm saying? Like, she just seems so into herself. And I'm so bored. But like, also, I think if she was in psychosis, it might be a little interesting. She's just like, she's just so she thinks her farts smell good. She thinks every thought she has is like the most amazing thought that's ever happened. And I'm like, we get it, dude. I don't know.
Colors appearing in your eyes if your eyes are closed.
But I would say that her preacher telling her that like, hey, like what you need to go to a therapist. He would tell that to also any of those things. Like any of those things that I just said also require therapy.
Whatever I Googled, right? And it says something about something, the iris can do this and that, and you can see kaleidoscopic colors during the daytime if you close your, I'm like, okay, I mean.
And she's quite functional. I don't know if a person experiencing because Gabby's really been Gabby for so long. I don't know if a person experiencing chronic illness could be this successful or chronic psychosis. Look how, you notice how Kanye lost everything because he's really going through it. Because he's actually fucking, I think, manic psychosis something. He lost everything. He lost all of his big deals. He lost all of his money. He lost all of his brands, all of her status. Gabby didn't lose anything. Do you know what I'm saying? So, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know, but there is like, to be fair, I do think people can be multifaceted. So like the woman I met in New Mexico who slept in a tinfoil hat, she really knew how to sell people stuff. She really knew how to play a part, but she wasn't functioning in society. She didn't have a cell phone. She didn't have a valid driver's license. Her car was expired. Her kids wouldn't talk to her. She had 5G will blow up your brain in the back of her car. She slept in a tinfoil hat. So she obviously wasn't functional, but she found a way to make a couple of dollars and was able to survive, but she wasn't like functional. Do you know what I mean? But Gabby's been Gabby forever. Like she just like hasn't grown at all. She's been stagnant for so long, but yet functional. Her house is nice. She's made, you know, somewhat good decisions, I suppose. She has a partner. Everything seems relatively normal. When I say normal, I mean like caveat. You know, I don't know. She's there. I don't think she's grifting though. I think she just believes her farts smell good. And she's trying to convince us, and she's mad that we don't agree. We're like, Gabby, you stink. And she's like, no, I smell good. I smell good. I'm like, you stink, girl. And she's like, no, I smell good. I'm like, you're crazy. You're crazy that you can't smell how bad you are. Like how much you smell. That's what it feels like. It feels like she's like literally trying to convince us. And because we don't believe it, do you know what I mean? Something like that.
That's weird because I feel like I've closed my eyes during the daytime before and this has never happened. Course, but
right?
like just looking for the scientific explanation, right?
Yeah, sure.
So I'm like, I need a nap. I go upstairs. In my room is the song Iris playing out of my secondary phone. So the one like I didn't.
Wait, Chet said she makes money now off her mental health, even if she doesn't think so. People watch her because she's crazy, but she's not even that crazy. Guys, this is so not that interesting. You know what I'm saying? I thought this was going to be so much crazier. This is so boring. Like, this is not even like crazy. Trisha is more crazy just doing mukbangs in her car. Do you know what I mean? It's more crazy to watch people binge eat food than this podcast. Like, this podcast is just so basic. It's like, hey, I believe God like loves me. I don't know, bro. This sounds like most religious conferences I've been to. This part of it. This part. The first part was kind of crazy, but this part's kind of boring. You know what I mean? This part's kind of, we're kind of back to like, Christian girls. What are you going to do? Christians. You know what I'm saying? But I agree that the beginning part was like, but the beginning part, to be fair, was her explaining her craziest time. Her TikToks are crazier than her podcast. Oh, you know, I always say people look crazy on short form. So maybe that's what it is too. Like, I look crazy on TikTok, but I look totally normal on my streams. I look crazy in 15-second snippets. I think her TikTok is making her look crazier than she is. Maybe short form is really fucking everybody up. Because this now at this point does not feel that crazy. But it's definitely not reasonable. It's not science, but it's not, you know, I don't know.
iPhone 10, I'd like upgraded. This is my iPhone 10, right? Just in my room, not in use. It's just play.
Wait, Chad says, to be honest, I think normal religion may just sound like psychosis to me because I've been raised without any religion. So it's like, what do you mean literally felt a hand? Okay, I felt a hand on me. Sometimes I see things that aren't there. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, hi, baby. And it's not my partner. I'm like, sometimes I see a cat and I go, Indiana. And I'm like, oh, that is not Indiana. And I know it's just my brain. But I know what it is. Our brains see shadows and make shapes out of them. You guys know this, right? I just don't assign meaning to the shadows. I just know my brain was trying to survive. Gabby sees the shadows and goes, oh my God, God. I'm like, it's your shadow. It's a shadow. It's a light reflecting. It's your brain filling in the gap for what you normally would assume is your cat walking in the room or your partner coming to see you. Sometimes the other day, I swore my partner said, I love you. And I was like, oh, I love you. And I came into his room and he was sleeping. And I was like, oops, must have misheard. Yeah, I just don't assign it to anything. I literally just go, oh, my bad. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't think it's that interesting. The issue is Gabby thinks it's really interesting, which is why she sounds crazy. But if she would just take the religious stuff out of it and realize your brain does things and just go, oh, okay. That's what I'm saying. You know, that's why it doesn't feel like psychosis a bit to me, but I don't know. What do I know? I'm not a medical professional, right? But it just feels like she's assigning grandiose. She's being grandiose. It must be the call from God instead of just a normal biological function. Oh my God. Gabby's the kind of girl who takes like a shit and it was like, this is divine poop from the Lord. And I'm like, I guess it's just a poop to me. You know what I mean? That's what it sounds like to me.
The song Iris. So I'm like looking around my room, like, why is there music playing in my room? find the source. It's my phone, right? Playing Iris. What is Iris? The color in your eye, right? So I'm like, this is specific.
Listen to her. Oh my God, what is Iris? A thing. That's what I'm saying. This is all explained. A therapist could explain what's happening. And I'm just not a therapist. But I feel like all of this is just not, like, I get it, bro, but you just sit down. Listen, when my friends go in this direction, I told you, my friend did not get to spiritual psychosis, but they were dabbling. And I said, stop doing this. And eventually they listened and they're like, oh my God, thank God. Because I almost went there. And I was like, but you didn't. And that's the point. She could go there one day. But this isn't enough evidence for me.
Specific song to be playing. And I was like, what is this song from? Oh, it's from the City of Angels, the movie City of Angels, right? I'm having all this angelic contact. What's that movie about again? It's about an angel who gives up their wings to live on earth with the love of their life and is instantly hit by a car and taken out. So in this moment, right, all this stuff happens. I hit this person with the car. I walk into my room. My secondary phone is playing a song about the color of your eyes and referencing somebody getting hit by a car.
Like, he doesn't even believe this. I think he's not reacting because he just thinks my wife is funny and eccentric. Gabby's so funny. Gabby's just like, you know, and when boys, by the way, talk about this on a podcast, people like Joe Rogan and his buddies, people will just be like, oh my God, bro, for real. Like, that's so crazy. But Gabby, again, I think these people are just bored and they're not educated and they're fucking, and that's how you become a conspiracy theorist, you know?
Dropped the phone and literally said, I'm listening, because I knew that something was communicating to me.
Chad said that's basically what delusions are, though, like putting two and two together. Yeah, I know. And I don't think, okay, and I'm being very responsible. Hey, I'm actually being the fucking adult in the room and not diagnosing Gabby Hanna, because that would be so fucked up of me. And if Gabby was my friend, I would not assume she was in psychosis. Just a person, that's not what I would think. Okay? I would say and said to her, hey, I don't know where you're getting this information. Explain it to me. Use science. Use science. And if she can't use science to explain it to me, then I would say, okay, listen to me. This is how I talk to because you remember, I have religious friends, right? I have not friends. I have family members that are religious. And when I talk to them, they're very like, yeah, dude, I think God is real, but if you don't believe in him, like, whatever. Like, look, dude, God is chill and I wish you were Catholic, but at the end of the day, like, whatever. They're very like, the way they talk is like, yeah, I don't have the science to prove this to you, but I have faith. They don't make it about them. It's not about their ego. When you make it about your ego and it's all about you, I do think that's mental health. They're not sitting here like, God speaks to me. He works divinely through me. He is the Lord Jesus Christ. He spoke through me through the Holy Spirit, the fire of the Holy Spirit. St. Michael, the archangel, is guiding me. That's not my family. That's not my family. And I do think people who are like that often look delusional or psychosis or mental health, because I do think they are experiencing a high, like a drug high, through church. And that's why people speak in tongues. It's why people fake it and move into it. I don't know if you guys know this, but if you role play and you really get into it, it's gonna feel real. It's not real, but it feels real. That's why BDSM is so much fun, because if you really go into it, it feels so real. And you're sober. You feel high, but you're sober. You feel literally chemically so fucking high, and you're sober. That's what I'm saying is happening to Gabby. I think Gabby is playing a real life D&D game. Chad says D&D games feel real. She is playing D&D. She is rolling her character and she is in it. Now, is she psychologically delusional, or is she having so much fun she doesn't want to come down from her dopamine rush? I don't know. But she could be delusional. She could be manic. She could be psychosis. She could be a lot of things. I kind of think she's just, she loves whatever positive feeling she is getting from this, and the negative she is getting isn't enough for her to drop her high. And I'm saying, when I get negative feedback, as an example, it really impacts me in the sense that I want to be correct. I want to have the right data, very autistic of me. So I go, wait, are you right? I'm wrong. Like, even now, you guys are questioning. When you guys say, I think it's psychosis, I question myself. I'm questioning myself. I go, is this psychosis? Am I wrong? Is my audience correct? I'm questioning if I'm right. So I'm looking for the data. I'm saying you could be right, but I need the data. And Gabby is saying, I don't need the data. I am right. And also, I'm having so much fun. You know what I mean? Like she's just, you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know what's happening yet, right? But I also don't know the compounding of I don't know, like, ooh, Chad says she wants it to be real to have meaning. Oh, wait. That's good. That's the best drug. The best drug is wanting it to be real, like in a toxic relationship. I want to believe he's being good to me so much, I'll marry him and make babies with him. Even though everybody around me is telling me to leave him, even though everybody around me is telling me break up with him. No, I believe it so hard. I'm going to love this man to the ends of the earth. I'm going to make babies with him. Oh, oh. Now, obviously, I don't know if she's on medication. I don't know. I thought she did have bipolar as well. So I don't know if that's true. But this doesn't even feel like bipolar mania. It just doesn't feel like that. It doesn't look like it. I don't have enough data yet. I do not have enough data for this being bipolar. Okay, hold on. You remember how we covered the Jim Carrey story at the beginning? And everyone sees Jim Carrey being a weirdo and they think he's a genius. See the difference? When Gabby says it, she's crazy. But when Jim Carrey does it, he's a genius. That's what I'm saying. Is that what's happening right now? Hold on, Jim. Both of them are crazy, but in different ways. Jim Carrey, none of this is real. None of this is real. No one said Jim Carrey had psychosis. Everyone said he's so based. Okay. He's so based, bro. He's so right, bro. He's so right.
Yeah. So what's happening in our world right now? Because there is a lot of news that actually is relevant that's not that
Here's
uplifting.
The thing. It's not our world.
None of this is real?
Nope.
So you're just passing
We don't
through.
matter. We don't matter.
Oh, wow.
There's the good news.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, Jim Carrey did this stunt and everyone's like, he's a fucking genius, philosophical god, bro. He fucking said it the way it is. Like, this is all bullshit. Da, 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 da. Gabby Hanna, you know what I mean? I'm saying both of them are wrong and loud. And both of them are silly and immature. And both of them are children. Okay? And I think both of them are just silly. I don't see psychosis from either of them. And I don't think either of them are clones. But I do know that I could be wrong. And I'm not a medical professional. And she's not my patient. And I don't know.
No matter what.
Yeah.
This was out of my control. You're telling this person to call me, playing audio in my house, packages showing up at this time. I'm seeing visions now. My body is being pushed into meditative state.
I would say, oh, can you explain to me the visions? See how he's not pushing back? See how he's not asking? Oh, this is interesting. Could you explain to me what visions are? Do you actually see them? Okay, one time my Discord had the most intense debate we've ever had, and it was about aphantasia. The argument lasted, I think, months. I think we probably re-debated this topic for months. Aphantasia. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating how long it went on. Do you see the apple in your head? How well do you see the apple in your head? Do you project the image or are you thinking about the image? You know, we argued about this for the longest time because people don't like aphantasia. They don't believe in it. The inner monologue saying like, do you think? Do you think in pictures? Synesthesia. Synesthesia, you know what I'm saying? People don't like that stuff. They argued it because they were like, no, you cannot be thinking about this. There's no way that's how your brain works. And I'm saying you're reading into it too much. Here's the test. Okay, how do you see the apple? I see number 1. I can taste it. I can smell it. Okay, I can smell and taste this apple. I can feel the juice running down my mouth. But it's not literal, but it's basically might as well be. It's not literal, but it might as well be. Okay, but I'm not hallucinating it. I'm not literally smelling it, but my imagination is so strong. I can basically feel it. I can feel the skin against my mouth. I can feel it against my cheek. My memory recall is so powerful. It's almost like I'm there again. It's like literally like that's why I can make myself throw up with a thought. That's why when my partner is telling me a gross story, he goes, hold on, you might vomit. Because if he explains a story in enough detail or just says the word, if he just says certain words, my reflex will be to vomit. And he'll be like, stop, you'll gag. And I'm like, it's so real. My brain just processes it so real. Okay, there are people who are a 5. There are people who are 4. Okay, there are 3s. All of it is valid. But see how we're all so different? You know what I mean? So that chances can we try with another fruit? This is just the fruit everybody uses for some reason, the apple. I don't know why. But okay, that's why I'm just saying I would like Gabby to explain what's happening because there's an answer for it. The dilemma is that nobody's asking her. You notice how no one cares enough to ask Gabby, hey, Gabby, can you tell me more about that? I've never seen an interview with Gabby Hanna, and if there is one, please send it to me, where somebody really asks her, what do you mean by visions? Can you explain that to me so I understand what you mean? So now I don't know. And so now the only thing we think is psychosis, but what if she's just saying, oh, it's visions? Like, okay, remember when Sneeko was talking to Dr. K and Sneeko said, God talks to me? And Dr. K said, oh, that's interesting. Can you explain that? What do you mean God talks to you? I just don't know what you mean by that. And Sneeko goes, like, you know, I pray and God talks to me. And Dr. K's like, do you mean that you hear his voice? Do you mean that you think? And Sneeko goes, oh yeah, no, I mean that like I feel inspired by God. Like I think because I'm praying and I feel like I hear the word of God. And Dr. K goes, okay, could you tell me more about that? I don't know what you mean. And so we are so biased. Remember, you are biased and prejudiced. You will run with what people say into a direction. Do you have the discernment to understand what Gabby means when she says vision? Because I don't know what she means by it. I really don't know what she means by it. And so I need to know, I have questions.
Without my consent, but it is helping me. There's something healing me. There's something interacting with me. And I'm now surrendering to this thing in fear, but with knowledge that if I don't find the source of this, it's going to continue to haunt me. And that's what really led me to like, I have to find the truth because there's all of this other spiritual contact happening that I'm going to get into the next podcast because I wanted this one to be more about angel numbers, but I have to end with my.
So this is just so also what she's describing to us is her past. It's not even her present. See, the question is in her follow-up podcast, where is she now? Because, right, she doesn't do angel numbers anymore.
Best angel number story. I almost wrecked my car.
Okay.
Being chased by angel numbers. I'm driving a long way away to get like injections or something. I'm looking at the clock and the GPS and everything. It's 1:11. I'm an hour and 11 minutes away. 11.1 miles. You know what I mean? Like everything is 111111111. And I'm like, this is too much.
Remember, this is all past Gabby. None of this is current Gabby stories because I think she's telling us how she got to Jesus.
Too many ones. The car in front of me, 111, 111. Like everything's 111s. And I'm angry inside because I had asked my grandma, the one who sent me the angel numbers article, something about angel numbers because, you know, it's all in my life now. You sent me this article. I feel like we're talking about this. And I was very upset because she told me.
Chat saying people are always going to be unfair, but they're especially unfair to her. I think they're uniquely unfair to her because she's deeply unlikable, and unlikable women are everyone's favorite target. See, unlikable men, they can find success under patriarchy. Unlikable women can find success under capitalism. And that's what Gabby did. She found success being an unlikable woman like Trisha did under capitalism, but not through patriarchy. And I do think people are unfair to her, but I also think she is unfair to her audience. Like she should not be on the internet. Not as a court of law, but I think if she really cared about her audience or who was watching her or the content she was creating, she wouldn't make the stuff she's making. I think she makes bad content. I think this is a bad podcast, but I don't mean the quality of the podcast. The quality is nice. The set is nice. The seating is nice. The mics are nice. I'm saying the content of the podcast feels like a person begging the world to see them, and that never works and it will never work. Right? It will never work that the world can see and understand you. And that's what Gabby's begging the world to do. She's like, please understand me. You know, I think she just has a very unhealthy relationship with her job.
That it was OCD. When I was growing up, she used to tell me that my grandpa, whose name was Sam, would communicate to her through the number 1111. So every time she saw the number 1111 on the clock or something, she knew that my Papa Sam was speaking to her, which is also why when she sent me an article about angel numbers and I was raised to pray to angels, why it would make sense to me that I believed she was in this belief, right? And I was just,
yeah, Discord, I agree with you. I feel like her channel would be doing better if she let go of the past and move forward, but she just wants to explain until she's understood. Yeah, that's okay. But that could be autism, neurodivergency. I don't know what Gabby is diagnosed with, but that could be a part of that OCD or something where she can't let it go. She can't let it go. She can't let it go. One of the things I have to practice and continually practice every day with this job is not making it personal and putting down my boundaries because I am impacted. I'm impacted by the familiarity, the parasociality. I can be very impacted, very sensitive to people feeling like people are having too much of a say in my life. I'm like, oh, just a reminder, boundaries. Because people do feel, the audience feels often very entitled, not your fault, to giving you advice or getting into your life or being and that's okay. It's a part of the process, but it does impact people for real. Like it impacts people like, uh-oh, like this is too much. And Gabby isn't allowing a boundary. She's not saying to her audience, thank you so much for caring about me. I'm just sharing my life and I'm not making a prescription. Thank you so much for being here. But she doesn't make, like, guys, Christian people exist on the internet all the time. They make crap content, but they don't make Gabby content. And that's why it feels insane. Because why doesn't she just act like a normal Christian? Because she's not a normal Christian. Well, she might be a normal Christian in some bubbles, but she's not an educated, serious Christian. She's not like a biblical scholar. She's not a, you know what I'm saying? She's not taking that role. She's making it about Gabby. She's taking her personal story and making it the content versus making the content about Jesus. You know what I'm saying? That's also why, she's not being a man about it. Not to be gendered, but she's not taking the debate bro route. She's not debating people about the belief in Jesus. She's taking the I'm the girl, I'm the one. She's being manic pixie girl, which is why she'll be dismissed because she's not being serious. She's not using data. You know what I mean? Yeah, she's not making the content, the Bible Project, educational biblical content. Yeah. She's not making, and that's a part of the problem. You know what I mean? But, and I do think that's the red flag, which is why you are right to think something's wrong. You're right to think something's wrong. I caution us from assuming we know what's going on. But it's okay for you in your mind to think exactly what we talked about at the beginning of stream. Maybe Kelly Osbourne has an eating disorder. Maybe she's really thin because of fascism. Or maybe she's mourning the death of her father. Maybe she has cancer. Maybe it's none of your fucking business. To be honest with you, I don't think it's your business what Gabby Hanna is doing. I don't think it's your business what Eugenia Cooney is doing. I don't actually think it's your business. And I think it says more about you that you're making it your business. Unless you're a content creator. If you're a content creator, we make it our business because, well, they're content creators and they're putting it out there. But why are people who aren't content creators going into Gabby's audience? Like, why are you making it your business as a commenter? Right? Like, I'm never going to comment on Gabby Hanna's TikTok. Hey, Gabby, I'm really, you know what I mean? That's the question. Why is everyone so obsessed with Gabby Hanna enough that they're leaving comments on the TikTok? This is why I say, I don't want to be famous. You imagine waking up every day to hundreds and thousands of comments telling you you're in psychosis. And you're like, because remember, you have to remember as well that I remember when boys on the internet were like, Britney's splitting. Guys, I am not splitting. I am sharing an opinion and I'm correct. And that's the other part of it. Now, okay, why do I make the content I'm making? Just a caveat. I make it for the sake of observation to learn for myself, not to actually say that I know, because I don't know. Just like Dr. Kirk Honda doesn't diagnose people when he watches Love is Blind, he's saying could be exhibiting, maybe exhibiting, could be. You have to know the difference as an audience member, the difference between, maybe this is what we're observing versus this is what I think we're observing. And maybe personally, I think I know, but I can't know. These are different. It's different. So just make sure you know the difference.
It's like, but wait, you're the one who sent me this article. So I'm mad about this, right? And as I'm mad about this, I'm seeing all these ones. And then this license plate drives by that literally says Granny. Exactly. So not the same day, but this is like October now. Okay. Actually, wait, let me tell you exactly what day it was.
2021 of October 4th?
It was October 5th, 2021 that this specific event happened. I was leaving Luke and Simon's actually. I keep making all these weird wrong turns. To the point where I literally drove through a parking structure because there's just something that has come over me that is like making me take these wrong turns. And this whole drive, I feel like I'm in the Truman Show, but my name is the Gabby Show. And I was like, I literally feel like I'm losing my mind. What is with all of these wrong turns? I can't wait to see what they're trying.
Well, chat, you said I didn't diagnose her. You said she has to be experiencing psychosis, like actually. Not to be pedantic about language use, but you didn't say it seemed like she has psychosis. I can see your comments. So the reason I commented on that and expanded on it is because the language we use says something. So though you know your intention, I don't. Kind of like we don't know Gabby's intention, but we're kind of moving off of it. I don't know your intention. So that's why I said that. You said she has to be experiencing psychosis, like actually. That's what you wrote, which technically is not a diagnosis because you can't diagnose her. You're not a therapist, but it is you making a declarative statement. Not to be pedantic. It is a declarative statement. So again, I should have been in debate, bro, but you're not a bad person. I'm just letting you know why it sounded like you were making a declarative statement because, okay, but you're good.
Trying to show me by making me take all these wrong turns. I was like, there's a message that they're going to show me and I'm waiting to wait for it to be revealed. The last exit to get into the valley to where my house was, there's a car in front of me that moves out of the way to reveal a car that's taking that same exit that I'm coming up on. And the license plate was 11 Sam 11.
Wow.
And I took a picture of it, literally, because I was like, there's no way. And I posted it actually online. So it definitely exists somewhere already. But it literally said 11 Sam 11. This whole trip, I'm taking all these turns and I'm driving through a parking structure. Something is coming over me, making me make these turns. And then I'm like, what are they going to show me? On my exit, after going 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think it could be main character syndrome to the T, to the oomph. Maybe that's what it is too, because main character syndrome looks crazy. That's why nobody likes it, because it's too much. You're overwhelming. You know what I mean? But the question is, why main character syndrome? Why? What is Gabby chasing? What is she trying to chase that she feels like is missing within her?
Out of the way, 11 Sam 11.
Dang.
Exactly. 11 Sam 11 is so specific. Like it is so specific. On my exit, having this conversation about this exact situation, about how my grandma said that my grandpa would talk to her through 1111. Anyways, that's my final angel number story, really.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it all just kind of like goes back to, this is the beginning of your spiritual journey, like your actual spiritual, maybe not even journey, but awakening.
It's where God was getting my attention and answering the questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he said, call to me and I will answer you and tell you great and unsearchable things you do not know. Like I was not reading the Bible. There was not anyone around me who was able to tell me the truth that I was going to listen to. Like I didn't trust anybody. I was isolated. I wasn't going to church. I wasn't watching that content. Like I asked God and he was like, okay, I literally have no other way to reach you except through this way, because you're not watching TV. You're not like, how else am I going to reach you? I have to give you like.
Definitely. Chet says, do you think this trauma caused this? Getting self-centered, trying to heal, so focus on yourself and your problems? Definitely. Like, yeah, I think main character syndrome, and I wouldn't know this, but from my understanding, a lot of it is like a child that didn't get the proper validation, the proper attention. They didn't get and they might have a predisposition personality-wise, like to be an entertainer. But I do think like attention-seeking behavior, the reason people hate it is because it's unhealthy. Like certain kinds, all of us exhibit healthy and unhealthy attention-seeking behavior, right? And so the question is, can you engage in healthy attention-seeking behavior, and can you discern between the two? And I don't think Gabby is good at that. I don't think Gabby, Trisha, Kanye, I don't think they're good. Shia LaBeouf, I don't think they're good at reaching for the right validation. But attention-seeking behavior isn't inherently bad. It's just dependent on how you're engaging with it, right? That's how I see it, right? Chad says that's what I meant though. Like, I'm sorry I didn't say it correct, but I didn't think about how I said it. I mean either way, my observation was just based off my personal experience, education. But sorry, you're good. I appreciate it. The conversations are important because here in this channel, we are trying to see if we can understand ourselves and people better. We're using real people's lives to learn about our own. And so, again, my language, your language, we're not always going to get it great. We're going to like say the wrong things, use the wrong punctuation, use the wrong inflection. I'm going to hear your tone incorrectly. So I'm just glad we could have the conversation because I know you don't have any bad intentions. Well, I believe you don't have any bad intentions. And I just wanted to also explain myself so you don't think I'm, I came out from nowhere and I came up with it or something. That's just, so I'm glad we could talk through it, And that's what I would want for Gabby. See how we do it? Oh, see how we do it? We're going back and forth better than Gabby and her husband. We should get married, chat, you and me. That's what I am trying to get Gabby to understand is like, hey, no one's talking to you. No one's asking you questions. No one's explaining themselves. No one's asking Gabby to explain herself. And look at us, and we are having more. Hey, what do you mean by that? Can you expand on that? Oh, like you said this, and I don't mean to, but like this is what I'm hearing. Chaz, I do. I do. That's what I'm saying. Polyamory, here we come. I would just love somebody to ask Gabby. I would love her husband to say, can you explain that a little bit more? I think that's why he's a red flag. He feels scary to me because he isn't asking her questions. So either he doesn't care, he thinks she's a silly woman who's just yapping. Blah, 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 blah. You know those husbands exist, especially in Christian bubbles. Oh, you know wives, blah, 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 blah. All they do is talk all day. And the wife thinks she's being heard, and the husband's just thinking, man, I can't wait till this is over. I don't know what's happening. I don't know if that's happening. I don't know if he just thinks everything she's saying is so great. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. Right? Because that I used to think that everyone was the main character of their own life. Look, I'm the main character in my own life, but I don't think I'm the main character in yours. That's the issue with the Trisha and the Gabbys and all those other people. I think they think they're the main character in everyone's life. Ethan Klein too. Ethan thinks he's the main character in everyone's life. I am the main character in my life. You are the main character in yours. Okay? And even if though I'm the main character in my life in a group dynamic, sometimes somebody else is turned to be the main character of the group dynamic. You know what I'm saying? Gabby feels like the kind of person who's always main character in a group dynamic.
And he's saying, you know, unfortunately, reaching out to you through this way, it's going to be able to it's going to allow other things through as well. That may not always be me.
And
like
that's part two. That's part two. Now that we got through angel numbers,
part two.
The next one, I guess I'm going to talk more about like my specific like spiritual gifts and how God communicates to me specific.
That's what I want to watch. I want to watch what gifts, what magical powers does Gabby think she has? And then we'll really start to understand like, okay, Gabby, what is this? Right? Now, listen, they could be taking us for all our money. They could have sat there in the room and be like, you want to troll the internet and tell them that God gave me powers? Look, they could be grifting so hard right now. Or they could be a weird Christian couple, or they could be a basic Christian couple, or, right? So that's what I want to know for the next time. And we should watch part two, honestly. I don't think it's up yet, and this isn't even done yet. Hold on. I don't think it's up though. No, it's not up. So maybe we can talk about it, right? But listen, just to put it into context for why I know Gabby's not healthy. She might not be psychosis. She might not be a lot of things, but she isn't healthy. Is the first podcast she put out, Why Trisha Paytas Tried to Ruin My Life, an actually good podcast. That's the problem. The drama channels saved my life. From angel numbers to Jesus. Like, stop using clickbait like it's 2010 and be fucking serious about your life, or you're going to look crazy. So either she is clickbaiting and looking crazy, or she is crazy, and that's why her titles are this way. So I will watch part two with you guys. Tomorrow we'll watch Shia LaBeouf, because you guys also asked me to review that. Because it's interesting to watch toxic people, because it's hard to be empathetic to Shia or Kanye or Gabby, because they're also kind of bad people. Like, I think Gabby's a bad person for going after Jesse. I think she is in her philosophical evil. I don't know if she's bad from every part of her, but I think that's such an evil thing to do to a rape victim. And I really think, like, you have to do so much amends to come back from that. You know what I mean? And I don't think Gabby's done that. And the fact that she's a follower of Christ and can't genuinely apologize and still calls Jesse her abuser is, you know what I'm saying? So, and then Shia LaBeouf's a physical abuser, and then Kanye, you know, his reputation. So they're not great people. They're also unsafe. That's the other part of this that makes it hard to feel good about them, is like they feel really scary. So it's kind of interesting, but their scariness isn't because they're mentally ill. It's because they're never allowed to be wrong. I think it is much scarier to deal with a person who refuses to ever be wrong than a mentally ill person, even though I do think it's mental health. I don't know if it's mental illness, but it's mental health. Trump is scary because he's never allowed to be wrong. You know?
Without speaking with a human voice, because that would really scare me a lot. I don't think I'd be able I know people who have experienced it. You've heard a human voice.
Yeah, one time.
Oh, here we go. Listen to this.
Scare me a lot. I don't think I'd be able I know people who have experienced it. You've heard a human voice.
Yeah, one time.
Yeah.
One time, like on a bike ride at a campground. I was young, but
it like spoke to you.
Yeah. But anyways, no, this was really.
How do you bypass that? How do you say that's casually. Oh yeah, I floated off the ground once, like 12 feet. Anyways, see you guys for the next podcast. Excuse, pourquoi? Can you please go into this, sir? Like, can you please go into it?
Interesting. And
Do you feel like you learned anything new?
Just a couple of things here and there. We talked about most of this already, and there's some aspects of it too that we have.
Which is why I think he was just listening passively, but also this is annoying because who is this for? So, okay. So her husband already knows this. It's not for him. It's not a conversation. Who is this for? The Discord said it's so good. She thinks we still care about the past. We don't care, Gabby. We want to know if you're better in the present. But if you keep digging up the past and everything is about your past and it's not like what I'm doing now, then it's like, do you know what I'm saying? That's the problem that I'm having with this whole discourse. Who is this podcast for if her husband already knows it all and it wasn't a conversation?
Haven't actually talked about for a while. So I was like remembering with you kind of.
Yeah.
Because I remember it probably wasn't even long after we first met that you actually.
And by the way, Chad said that I had a friend say God lifted her and her brother out of the way of a moving car. Listen to me when I say this. There are plenty of documentation of quote miracles happening that we do not have an explanation for. That doesn't mean it was God. Human beings have human super strength. We go through situations. We feel like, oh my God, something moved me out of the way. Guys, I have felt like what feels like a hand touching me, but I know for a fact there's an answer to this. I just don't know what it is. But if it's real, it will be proven through data. I do not think it's magical. I do not think it's supernatural. I think if God is real, he will be scientifically proven. That's the point. The point is there is a reason, because this is the thing. You can't say God is objective and real. There's no proof of him. And the proof is only through your experience. Like, I should be able to prove God time and time again. Call me a doubting Thomas, baby. Call me doubting Thomas.
So he told me that story about the 222 and like,
oh, yeah.
At that venue and stuff like that. So
yeah.
But I was kind of like reliving it a little bit because it's a really crazy story. And yeah, I had forgotten aspects of that too since we last talked about it. So
yeah.
Really interesting.
Well, next episode we'll be talking about some more fun stuff, but that's my angel number story. I want to wrap that up by saying though, don't engage with it. Listen, I understand it is real. Like if you're seeing it, like I'm not the person that's going to tell you it's not real, but I am the person that's going to tell you that it's not safe. If you are being like hit with numbers a lot, like honestly, if you're feeling really compelled to look for the number, Google Bible verse 555. Yeah. Bible verse 363, like whatever it is.
Okay, so the point of her telling this story is to explain that though angel numbers happen to her, they're not leading, they're the first step to finding Christ, but they are not good, right?
Put it in God's hands and always be praying for discernment. Always be praying for protection by Jesus Christ, our Savior, because no spirit in the universe can go toe to toe with Jesus. As long as you're professing his name, as long
I don't know if you've ever met Luffy.
As you are putting your faith that Jesus is going to protect you, you don't have to be afraid to ask questions. You don't have to be afraid to like accidentally damn your soul. God wants you to ask questions. He wants you to get to know him. He wants you to search for the true answers. He doesn't want you to believe everything you're told. In fact,
And Jesus said to them, you have a fine way of rejecting the commandment of God in order to establish your tradition. Mark 7:9. Damn, girl.
Himself says, you have a way of abandoning my commands to follow man-made tradition. We're told that people are going to come in and distort doctrine.
You know what's different about Catholics and Christians too is we don't throw out Bible verses like this. We're not those people. Catholics do not. They're not, they don't go and evangelize. Like they're not coming door to door. You know what I mean? Like Catholics are busy. We got lives. You know what I mean? We're throwing like barbecues and stuff. I never learned scripture like this. Like I read the Bible, I learned scripture, but I didn't learn it to quote it. No Catholic in my whole life has been out here throwing out Bible verses. That is such a Christian thing to do. And so it's kind of funny. The Christian converts, the Protestant converts to Catholicism are so funny. They're so into it. Like one of our family members, our adopted family members, like family friend, he's a former, I think, Protestant or Baptist or something. And he can whip out a Bible verse so fucking fast. It's insane.
And to fit their own desires and their own agendas. But you are meant to go to God directly. He says, don't put your trust in men and princes. Put your faith in me, who will not ever deceive you, will not ever lie, will not forsake you. He's here. He loves you. Jesus is king. And if you're experiencing any type of spiritual contact or are like curious about anything spiritual, just keep Jesus in the picture. Like I'm not going to try to push you into a religion or a spirituality that you're not ready for or interested in. But I at least want to encourage you to like keep Jesus in the
like she could have been a Christian and none of her content needed to be about that. The fact is that she chose to make her content about this because her life is the content, but your life as the content is over. That side of YouTube, like you either got to be, your life better be different But this is just not it, girl. Nobody wants to follow this Christian. You know what I mean?
Picture. Like, at least let him be a
Look, she has like 5 million subscribers and she's getting 30K views. Her audience is obviously, her time has fallen off. She can maintain, she can still have good viewing. She still makes plenty of money. It's still there, but I wish she would pivot to something that was really good instead of this. Like, what is this pivot? This is the podcast you started. This was your grand idea.
part of it if you're not willing to just completely surrender. Like, don't shut him out. Don't run away from him just because you might have like a preconceived notion of who he is or what he represents. Allow the Holy Spirit of Jesus Christ, our Savior, given to us by God the Father in heaven. Allow him to guide your life, touch you, inspire you, encourage you, convict you, change you, lead you, guide you. Because one thing about the Holy Spirit is if you commit your ways to God's plan for your life, he's going to illuminate your steps. He's going to illuminate the path. He will not leave you. He will not forsake you. So
yeah. And as shown by your story, we believe that if you allow even just the thought of like allowing Jesus to be that part of your life, he will reveal, you know what I mean? So, and your story is a great testament to that. So yeah.
Well, that was an actually good podcast.
Yeah, that was an actually good podcast.
Okay, let's read the comments. Let's read the comments. Let's read her comments. I'm sorry, even if a pastor is telling you what you're doing is harmful, you need to get help. I think it's safe to say you need to get a professional help. Okay, like these comments, none of these people should be in these comment sections. If you really think like she's going through it, don't leave a comment. This is the third part one. A psychologist needs to be hearing these things. Random strangers on the internet, can I help you? Dr. Kirkonda should review this video. In a biblical tradition, angels convey messages from God directly and clearly, not through repeated numbers on a clock. This girl scares the absolute daylight out of me. Like, girl, she's reading these comments. You're just going to make her feel more empowered. Look, the chances of Gabby seeing my video lower than her seeing your comments. So if she sees my video, it is what it is. But the fact is like, why are they, you know what I mean? But Dr. Kirkonda should definitely watch this. Did I say Dr. K or Dr. Kirkonda? But Dr. Kirkonda should definitely review this. Let's see, there's a lot to unpack here. Is she going to talk about her racism in 2022? In 2022? I'm going to give this marriage 21 months. All that to say, don't look at angel numbers. Girl, what? Well, that makes sense. The whole point of the podcast was to explain why angel numbers were bad. Even though they let her, right? That's, you know, oh, this person said an angel visited you literally? Like literally? You know, it's like, yeah, was it literal? Anyways, I just want to say that after watching this, I don't know what to do here. It doesn't feel very convincing that she's anything. Yeah, I don't feel like I learned absolutely nothing about Gabby Hanna. Did we learn nothing? I don't think I got any closer to knowing an answer, nor do I think I learned about anything from her personally. Yeah, she's not really personal. She's oversharing, but undersharing too. Huh. She didn't really tell us anything about herself, did she? Her likes, her dislikes, her beliefs. Yeah. She did hit someone with her car. We learned that. But even that, there was no details. Oh my God. You know what Gabby Hanna is? She's a Michelin star restaurant. And when you go to eat it, it tastes like nothing. Like you're expecting this big, crazy, and then you eat it and you're like, oh, I don't taste anything. That's what I felt like just happened. I really thought this podcast was going to be like, and then I watched it. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know. Maybe part 2 will be better. We should check it out just for funsies and then move on with our lives because we certainly don't need to be making too much content about Gabby Hanna. But I do think this is a big nothing.